All right, supposedly we're live. Sucker Lava's already in the house. SF Marine in the house. Pete 1972 in the house. What is up, everybody? Move this up a little bit. Yoda's going to visit us today. Hang out. I'll give it a minute for peeps to start logging on. All right. Ryan Cushing in the house. Yeah. Already talking 4K restorations. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of talk about the Batman films, the original 4. Though I am not a fan of the Joel Schumacher ones, but I would definitely be down for some 4K Tim Burton Batman. 4K Cinema HD in the house. What's going on? Thursday night. I'm sure everybody's got their tickets for Endgame. So I obviously won't be doing a live stream on Thursday night, April 25th, because I'm going to be going to see Endgame. So, yeah. I'll be doing it Wednesday night that week. So I think I like the Thursday night thing. We'll do Thursdays, and then if it's a week where I got a screening going on or something's happening on Thursday night, then we'll move it up a day to Wednesday. So, right, what's going on? Movies I've seen lately. Trying to think of theatrically. I actually don't think I ran out to the theaters this past week. Since Us. I've just been watching stuff on video, which we'll talk about shortly. Melinda, what's going on, Melinda? Pete wants to see Catwoman suit in 4K. Catwoman, yeah, Batman Returns is my favorite of the classic 4. Followed obviously by the 89. Night of the Demons got a 4K scan and that out of print steelbook, which I do have. Ooh, nice. All right, so we got some people that haven't picked up their Endgame tickets yet. Yeah, I figured I'd get it on Thursday, just because I knew everyone was going to be talking about it, and I didn't feel like dealing with having to listen to everybody, spoiling things for me. So I figured let's go for it before all the good seats are gone. So what did I think of Infinity War? I liked it a lot. There's, I don't want to drop any spoilers for anybody who still hasn't caught up with it, but there is that element of the stakes, seeming very intense and heightened towards the end there, but obviously as a savvy, film goer, you kind of understand that there's some elements of the big shocking finale that are probably not that undoable per se. So it seemed, it's funny. I do know some people that really, really like emotionally invested in a lot of that stuff, though. But as a slightly cynical person, I'm like, well, yeah, sure, cool. But it's just, it's a cliffhanger, much like in keeping with the tone of old serials. So that's why I actually don't have a problem with, setting up these horrible stakes and these dire consequences, and you just expect the next movie for somebody to be able to undo at least some of them. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. The whole Thanos story. Yeah, I read some of the old Jim Starlin stuff when he was creating Thanos, but it wasn't I read just a ton of Spider-Man and Power Man and Iron Fist and Nova and stuff like that. Late 70s, early 80s, Micronauts. So yeah, that really wasn't totally in my wheelhouse. It was cool. I was seeing a lot of it for the first time. So I'm psyched for the sequel for sure. Sekulava says we're rewatching the entire MCU. I did that before Infinity War. I did it by chronological, as based on events as much as possible, as opposed to when the films were released. So yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. I even did the the Marvel one shots too. I stopped as far as doing the TV shows, but it was really cool watching everything. Oh yeah, pardon my ganked finger. My nail finally fell off, so it's gonna look gnarly. 4K saw Batman Returns in theaters in Dolby Digital. Yeah, man, I saw that a couple times in Greater Hartford, Connecticut. But yeah, we didn't have Dolby because that was like right, when they rolled it out. It was like what, Dolby SRD they called it, and yeah, I wish I had been able to hear it in Dolby Digital in the theater. That would have been great. Um, Austin was saying Infinity War had some balls. Yeah, man. For a movie to kind of go where it promised to go, and you think, oh well, the heroes are gonna stop all this stuff from happening, and yeah, maybe not. It was pretty ballsy for sure, and I loved Thanos' henchmen, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on, and just the fact that there were so many characters that were meeting each other for the first time, and how well that worked out. Doctor Strange meeting Tony Stark, etc., and just how natural it all kind of fell together. I was impressed. Nicholson's Joker, yeah. So I take it everyone's seen the Joker teaser. I'm still not 100% sold on it. It definitely seems like it's going for a big Scorsese, Taxi Driver meets King of Comedy meets everything. Yeah, it's got a vibe it's going for sure. I'm not sure if I'm 100% sold on it. I'm not sure if I'm 100% sold on Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker either, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And it is kind of, I guess it's a standalone too, so that's pretty cool. Let's see what's going on here. Psycholove is doing the ones that have been released on home media. Yeah. Not focused on the one shots. I was actually surprised at how fun some of the one shots were, particularly the one following Iron Man 3, which had more stuff with the Mandarin. That was really cool. Some of the other ones were just kind of whatever. But the Agent Carter one was cool too. I've got the 4K of Infinity War. I mean, that's one cool thing about the UHDs though, is they're coming out with the Blu-ray copy already on it. So for a few bucks more, you're a little bit future proofed. So I picked up Blade Runner 2049 before I had a 4K player. So, but it had the Blu-ray in it, so I was good. Trevor Noble, Thanos is under investigation. Yes, he is. Everyone's under investigation. Oh, Linda was saying there's a live-action Cowboy Bebop. I've heard threats of that for so long. They have a lead actor cast, huh? I'm going to have to look into that. I take it Spike Spiegel is the character they cast. I'm intrigued. We'll see. I did like some of the live-action little things that they... I think Shinichiro Watanabe directed that have been out there. They're not really major Cowboy Bebop pieces, but there's some fun little live-action things in the Cowboy Bebop vein or greater universe that are out there. Let's see, how many 4Ks do I have so far? It's a damn good question. Not that many. Under 30 for sure. I'll have to do a search. I do have my breakdown of my Laserdiscs and everything that I promised from last week. I got that ready for tonight too, so we'll do that. I'll show pickups in a hot minute too, but forget I'll give everyone a chance to get in here. Yeah, the audience reaction to the snap. About 50% of the audience was in tears. Yeah, the funny thing about the snap was just how it just kept unveiling. And that was that kind of moment I was talking about where I was like, all right, at first it was shocking. But like after like the 10th time, you're like, all right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know you're kind of playing with us here. So it was like tough to become that like emotionally invested in like, the 15th time it occurs. Yeah. But yeah, Austin was saying it gets 4K discs because I know I'll get a player someday. I did the same thing with DVD. I had like Austin Powers on DVD just because I knew I was going to get a DVD player a little bit before. I think I got Metallica's Black Album on CD before I had a CD player and like Injustice for All and stuff. So Chris Nolan doing the Kira movie, that could be interesting. And I'm guessing if he did, he'd probably go back more to the manga than doing a direct adaptation of the anime series or the anime film. But that could be cool. I could be down with Chris Nolan doing the Akira movie. So I've not watched the T2 4K version. I've heard a lot of trash talking about it though. So and yeah, 4K remaster of the special edition would have been nice because that's pretty much all I watch. I know now there's this kind of give and take. Like when the special editions for Aliens and the Abyss and T2 came out, it's pretty much, I never went back to the theatrical cuts. But now there's a lot of people that prefer the theatrical cut of Aliens and the theatrical cut of T2. I don't think anybody prefers the theatrical cut of the Abyss, but I'm still a special edition apologist. I'm all on board with special editions. So the pan and scan editions on LD. Yeah, we talk about that a lot in Laserdisc Forever, and kudos for mentioning Super 35, because nobody can ever figure out the deal with Super 35. They talk about it being open matte, which is different than Super 35. It's actually pretty interesting, the whole James Cameron thing, and I really should do like a proper video on it. They're pretty fascinating, and they're, of all the like pan and scan laser discs, they're the ones that are the best to get, since the director was actually involved in composing the shots and recomposing the shots and using the extra footage available on the Super 35 frame. So it's pretty cool stuff, and there's a really good, I think it's in the T2 box set, there's a really good comparison that shows the framing differences between the letterbox version and the pan and scan one. Really cool stuff, and it shows how much movement and zooming and just recomposing goes on from shot to shot. So yeah, I'm actually pretty interested in maybe picking those up myself sometime just for fun. But that said, like, they were a reaction to the limitations of the technology at the time, and people tend to misquote James Cameron as going, James Cameron loves pan and scan. When it was a means to an end, but pretty cool stuff. I'm definitely going to do a video on that sometime. What were we talking about? I saw some kudos thrown at Dark Knight Rises and Dunkirk on 4K. Yep. No, sorry, Melinda. Sorry, I didn't get any LD pickups. I got everything else pickups. I suck. I'm going to get some more LD pickups sometime soon. I do agree. Metallica is awesome. Let's see. I don't have the Perfect Blue Blu-ray, so I would like to pick that up. Jonathan McKnight was asking. Maybe somebody else in here has gotten that already. And Austin was saying the same thing about the Abyss Special Edition. It's just, the other one left way too much out. It just kind of falls apart towards the end otherwise. And I love the giant wave scene and all that stuff. So I hear you, Pete. Like, sometimes you just got to buy the new version of T2 because T2. I mean, right? That's enough reason alone. I've got the old whatever collection blue, which I think is the same as the Skynet one. Which I know that's one of the ones that had a little bit of color timing changing. So I think the ultimate version of T2 still hasn't come out yet. We'll see. Spencer showed up. What's going on, homie? We're talking Dolby Digital of Batman Returns and Cameron Super 35 usage. Yeah, Cameron and Super 35 is a whole interesting thing and very, very misunderstood. So it's a hot topic for sure. SF Marine sold the T2 waiting for that 4K upgrade. But yeah, you never know. They might fix it. The fans are certainly pretty vocal, so maybe we'll get another version. The prophecy theme of Dune is badass. I love the Toto music and the Brian Eno music from Dune. Really good stuff. I used to love that Faith No More. He used to open with that when they used to play live, and maybe early 90s or so. That was like their intro. Dune is cool in my book for sure. And supposedly True Lies in the Abyss are coming in 4K. We'll see. The T2 arcade game on MAME. Nice. That I haven't run across in a while. There was a Terminator Salvation game that's always in all the Dave and Buster's around me. That's pretty fun to play. But the T2 arcade game. That's a throwback. All right, I guess it's close enough to 9:15. I'll show you what I picked up this week. It's really mostly music stuff, so I'll tear through it pretty quick. Sorry, guys. I think I only bought one Blu-ray, so a lot of vinyl. I was out doing a lot of vinyl shopping this weekend, which I probably shouldn't have been because Record Store Day is coming out soon. Man, the Ultimate Edition of T2 on Artisan. I've got that original one that came with the steel wraparound kind of slipcase, and it just barely fit the case inside of it. Picked that up from like Pace Warehouse or one of those like clubs, BJ's type clubs. Love it. I do have the AC3 Laserdisc Gadoon, and I freaking love it. I watched it, maybe a couple months ago, and it looks really good, and it sounds fantastic. It came out in '97, I believe, and it's definitely worth hunting down a copy of that. Now everyone seems to have a copy of it, but when I was looking for it, it was scarce. What else we got going on? Talking games. All right, cool. So I'll get into the boring stuff. I got some vinyl. What is this? Oh, George Thorogood and the Destroyers, Better Than the Rest. I actually got this because my dad gave me his copy, and this and Moving On Over, and they melted because my parents were goofy and they put their LP collection right in front of a radiator, and the back of the LP cabinet was like that thick, and it just melted like a whole little corner. So I had to grab this. So I'm gonna actually just put this LP in my dad's jacket. So favorite movie of all time is, actually I'll wait till the end, but I'm gonna remember that, so don't go anywhere. Then I went to one of the record stores around the corner from me and got this reissue of Matthew Sweet's 100% Fun. Killer album, really good stuff. I had the CD for the longest time, but it was nice to get this. It was a used copy, so it has a little bit of usage, but not too bad. And speaking of Faith No More, I was at a cool record store in Enfield, Connecticut called Music Outlet, and got Sol Invictus finally, which is a little bit of a hot button Faith No More album. I love it. A lot of people complained that it wasn't a return to form, but there's not a song on here that I'd kick out of bed, so grab that. Black vinyl, nothing too fancy. Then this, I hadn't run across one in the wild and had to grab it. There was 1,000 of these made. It's in beer colored splatter vinyl. It's the gatefold of Opeth, Garden of the Titans, live at Red Rocks. I have the Blu-ray and the CD, so I had to get this. Just listened to it the other night. It's fantastic. And yeah, love Opeth. Let's see. Oh, Spencer is talking Thorogood. Yeah, man, all that early Thorogood stuff is great. Then I grabbed, I know here's another band that everyone hates their new stuff, but I am an apologist for their new stuff. In Flame Siren Charms. I picked this up at another local record store. It was like $18. White vinyl, and sounds fantastic. So grab that. Almost done. Went to Newberry Comics, grabbed a couple things. They got some, I'll go in order. Corner, R.I.P. A lot of people are bagging on these because they're saying they're like bootleg level, because there's really not that much there's no inserts, and there's like a paper sleeve and no poly, line sleeves or anything like that. And I got Punishment for Decadence. But that said, I thought they actually sounded really good. Everyone was saying they sounded crappy, but that double bass just really starts kicking. And I'm glad I picked them up. They were on clearance too, so what the hell. And the last little bit of vinyl, there was a used copy of Carcass Choice Cuts at one of the local record stores, and I had to listen to this too. Sounds fantastic. The back artwork it's funny. The track listing is really, really crappy quality. It's like they got the CD copy and just blew it up really big. But other than that, really nice release. Grabbed a couple CDs. Got a used digipack copy of the previous Cannibal Corpse album, A Skeletal Domain. And yeah. Sorry, you're going to have to look at my ganked finger. Ew, don't vomit. And obviously, if you love Cannibal Corpse, you're going to want to get some Roxy music. I got Flesh and Blood, which for the longest time, I didn't even know this album existed. I always just thought it went to Manifesto, like right into Avalon for some reason. So, celebrating Roxy music getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I had to get that. And I'm missing one. Oh, Where's the other one I got? Bear with me. Oh yeah, couple albums back. Chemical Brothers. Further, there's a new Chemical Brothers about to drop, like in a couple of weeks, maybe month. So I figured I'd pick this up. I'm a little behind the curve. And my Soul Blu-ray that came in last night. After getting the other Steelbook, I was bummed that the sequel wasn't on a separate Steelbook release, and then I found out it had been released back in November, and somehow it just slipped onto my radar, and I had to get Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and I watched it last night, watched the documentary last night. Love it. I'll probably do like a proper review of both of those suckers, but such a weird flick, but super cool stuff. And yeah, I've been behaving. Other than that, we'll see. Maybe next week I'll get some more junk. All right, now we got to catch up with what you guys been talking about. Let's see. But yeah, favorite movie is officially Vertigo, though it has wavered from time to time. But I'm sticking to that for now. But like, yeah, Vertigo I fell in love with in mid-90s or so. Actually, strangely, like right when the rest of the world was falling in love with it at the same time, like when it was kind of finding its new audience, and it was like I really got into it like around maybe like 95, something like that. And then by 97, the big re-release of it happened, and the restoration, and it seemed to be like some sort of like cosmic Vertigo time to get connected to. Then I remember seeing 12 Monkeys in the theater, which had a Vertigo reference in it. It was just totally messing with my head. It was like everything was Vertigo. So yeah, it was something just really special about the time I discovered it, and the history of it. And it's funny, and then shortly thereafter, it just kept creeping up and up and up, like those AFI like top 100 lists. So there was some sort of like Vertigo movement going on. Yeah, John the Big Knight. Remember the Total Recall DVD that came out of the Metal Marston? I never did pick that one up. I remember seeing it all the time. The other obnoxious circular case I have is the Jurassic World Blu-ray that comes in the circular tin, and then I kept the little cardboard thing that you can kind of turn into a stand, and I just like leave it standing up that way. Yeah. Pete was saying the 4K remaster of RoboCop looked really great. Oh, cool, nice. Yeah, we'll see if they have the 1.66:1 aspect ratio or not. What else we got kicking here? Bam. Ooh, favorite Def Leppard album. That's tough, man. Because, I still enjoy their super polished Mutt Lange era. So, Pyromania is pretty tough to beat. Even Hysteria. But, like the older On Through the Night and High and Dry, I love their earlier period when they were on the edge of new wave of British heavy metal. That's some really, really good stuff too. So it can change from day to day. If I want, like there's like a distinct different like kind of vibe between their like more polished 80s stuff and that like earlier material. And I kind of dig them both equally. It's like Rush. That's one of those bands. They got like these distinct different eras, and like depending on the day of the week, I'm like really into their 80s stuff, and one day I'm really into their 70s stuff. What else we got? Talking about some Arnold films. Yeah, I'm definitely missing some Arnold Blu-rays. Bam. Yeah, Vertigo. It's funny. My wife actually didn't really care for it. I took her to go see it. I've seen it a bunch of times in the theater. I even did a Q&A at a screening at a Art House Theater near me, and read the book. I think Dan Allers' book about the making of, and I went really far down the Vertigo hole. So it's cool. It's really neat. There's a scene in the middle of it. Like Hitchcock around that time was like so ahead of his time. That and North by Northwest, like both have a scene that if you take it out would be like a completely modern film in terms of like not explaining everything to the audience and letting the audience find out like something towards the end of the film. Like, you just couldn't get away with that back in the 50s. And so there's both of those films like have a moment, North by Northwest even further in, or further to the beginning, where it's like, this is what's going on, everybody, just in case. And yeah, there's a scene in Vertigo that if you take it out, which he actually did, and then put it back in, it's actually the roughest looking scene in the restoration. But if you take it out, it's almost like a completely modern film. It's killer stuff. Yeah, Ryan Cushing, Vertigo DTS is the way to go. How about you give me your copy, man? Because I don't have it. Not only is the Vertigo DTS like gonna be cool to own, even though I know some people hate the Foley effects and the aggressive surround remix and everything. Yeah, I still like it for what it is. But I love the jacket art on that DTS one. So. Favorite version of it is, right now it's the Signature LD. I have not picked up any of the Blu-rays because I'm a knucklehead, because I've heard they're actually really nice. It looks nice on Blu-ray, and I'll definitely get that. But I've got the old crappy like Universal one with like most of the artwork wasted and just the one picture of Scotty hanging from like the edge of the building. And then, of course, I got the Signature, which has always been my go-to. And I have the VHS copy with like the little like booklet, like the cover flap of the VHS case opens, and there's like a 12-page booklet or something in there. And then I had the DVD, which was non-anamorphic, special edition. So I still just really dig the Signature collection. See what we got going on here. Scroll down. Pizza. Yep, Goodfellas, killer flick. Raiders Lost Ark, untouchable. Jaws, yep. Lord of the Rings, love it. 2001, also killer. Casablanca, really love. Dark Knight, yep. I'm down. Empire Strikes Back, yep. I'm cool. I'll sign on for all those. How's Moving Castle is being released in the theaters? Yeah, that's actually one of the ones I haven't gone to see for the Studio Ghibli Fest that have been screening for the past couple of years in my neck of the woods. And that's my wife's favorite Ghibli flick. So, of course, I got the Blu-ray, but I will be going to see that for sure. What was the last one? Would have been the Cat Returns. Might have been the last one we went to go see. But we saw My Neighbor Totoro and a whole pile of them. Ponyo. Princess Mononoke. Yep. Which is, man, I hadn't seen Mononoke since like when it first came out in the States, when like Miramax put it out, and saw it at the Art House Theater in Hartford, Connecticut, and yeah, that movie kicks ass. Pump Up the Volume needs a Blu-ray release, right? I've got the there's actually 2 pressings of it on Laserdisc. I think I sold one of them. Like same kind of artwork, it's just a little bit different. So yeah, I've got the LD version. Really nothing to write home on, but yeah, that flick rules. Definitely a fan of Pump Up the Volume. Got the soundtrack too. Gotta have the soundtrack. Killer stuff. In fact, watching Bill and Ted's last night, I had to fire up the soundtrack album today and get that going. Megadeth, Go to Hell, and Faith No More, Perfect Crime on there. Primus in there. Yeah, good stuff. What else we got? Yep. I think everyone's fighting about the DTS sound effects of Vertigo. High Anxiety is the perfect film. Obviously, as a Vertigo fan, I do enjoy High Anxiety a bit myself, too. Let's see. Yeah, what else we got going on? Yeah, it's tough to pick a favorite movie for sure, because I mean, yeah, there's some nights when my favorite movie is Evil Dead 2. Yeah. And there's many a night when my favorite movie is Big Trouble in Little China. So, yeah, it's tough. And obviously, like the first Star Wars, that was such an indelible moment, like burned itself into my psyche. It's tough to kick something, to the curb when I saw that when I was 4 in the theaters, and pretty much changed my entire life. Let's see. Yeah, I hear you. It's tough. Yeah, Jonathan McKnight was watching Pink Floyd Pulse on DVD. Yeah, I never did upgrade from the Laserdisc. I love the Laserdisc. If you do look for the Laserdisc, watch out because there's two different pressings. Sony DADC USA pressed it, and like most of their stuff, they're very prone to rot. And then there's also a Pioneer USA pressing. It's a weird release because the insert sleeves are like photo quality. They're almost like some live LPs would have, like photos and stuff, and it's really just not strong enough to hold a big, thick laser disc. So yeah, they're very, very kind of fragile inner sleeves. Great release though. I love that sucker. I saw that show at Foxborough Stadium in Massachusetts, which I liked even more than the one that's on the Pulse. Video is like indoors, and I saw it outside, and it was a little bit uncomfortable, but it was raining a little bit. And it was sick because the lasers just went on forever, and you could watch them go all the way out of the stadium up to the cloud cover, and yeah, it was just damn cool. So even though I was getting a little peed on, that show was like, man, transformative. Trevor Noble. I was thinking about the Kid Rock yelling "Def Leppard sucks" at Joe Dirt. Nice. I haven't seen Joe Dirt in a while. I saw that in the theater. That's my new favorite movie. Sorry, Vertigo. It's Joe Dirt. Psycho Lavas is still looking for the Technodisc LD. Yeah, man. Hopefully that market simmers down. There was that period when I started seeing them for like $140 on eBay, which is ridiculous. So we'll see. We got some love for Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I was actually known as Pulp Fiction guy at my local Cineplex because I used to go see that so many times in the theater. So I definitely am a Pulp Fiction fan. Aaron Johnson, what are my thoughts on Kindergarten Cop? My thoughts are that I'm a complete loser because I've never watched it. That's like one of the Arnold movies I've never seen. I've just seen all the memes, all the all the clips from it. Someday I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, yeah, that's like one of the few Arnold movies I've just never seen. What else we got? Oh, I got a shout out request. All right. Hey man, it's DTS. Fire up that sucker. Hope you enjoy that. I don't see Pete. He'd be asking me to sing the Spellcaster song, but I don't see him yet. Let's see what's going on. I still know Mono Vertigo. Yeah. Bill and Ted 3, baby. Yeah, I am so psyched for that. And I've been watching the documentaries on these Bill and Ted discs. It's getting me totally pumped for Bill and Ted 3. So I am definitely all in on that one. Need to reissue the Pump Up the Volume vinyl. I would buy that. That was like a record store day release or something like that. I just did the pricing on what's coming out for record store day to see what I wanted to pick up, and the Devo box alone is going to be a wild crusher if I decide to go for it. I mean, I think I don't have Duty Now for the Future on vinyl, but I've got every other one that's in the box like on original issue vinyl. So yeah, like, do I want to get the big Devo box? But it's like freaking Devo. So there's like a Jeff Buckley release I want to get. The Twin Peaks season 2 and more soundtrack is getting issued on vinyl. The Crow soundtrack, not the Graham Revell score, but the one with The Cure and Machines Loving Grace and everybody and their mother. That one's coming out on vinyl. Wouldn't mind picking that up. There's like a live Matthew Sweet I'm gonna grab or hoping to, and of course there's some Mastodon. But yeah, we'll see. My want list is a little unruly at the moment. Jonathan was in Mononoke was my first Miyazaki film. Yeah, that mine was the butchered version or the Americanized version, Warriors of the Wind of Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind. So yeah, I saw that, and then I saw Mononoke, and I was like, oh snap. and then after that I went back and saw Totoro and etc. and got a feel for his more whimsical side. Yeah, Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll were fave anime films. Yeah, that was like before, and then eventually Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust always was on that list too. Those were those movies that like everybody had to have. Ninja Scroll was when that came out, was like, yeah, if you didn't see it, one of your friends was going to make you come over and watch it immediately. Akira, sadly, I never saw in theaters. Ghost in the Shell did get a stateside distribution, and I saw that at little art house theater in Hartford, Connecticut, which was on Thanksgiving. It was great. I was at my cousin's great aunt's house or something like that because my parents were on vacation. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and so I went and hung out with them for Thanksgiving. And for some reason, the theater was still showing Ghost in the Shell around 6 or something like that. And we're like, peace out. And it was snowing out. We're like, screw this. We're going to see Ghost in the Shell, and we were the only people in the theater. Let's see what's going on. Cyclops was saying, still need to watch Akira. It's on Hulu. Yeah, it's still holds up. The animation quality is just amazing. It's a little bit more of a amorphous, much like Tetsuo. It's like this amorphous film. It's very moody after a certain point. I mean, it starts off with a bang, but it's got a lot of good vibe, and it's strange. It does confuse people a lot first couple times they watch it, but yeah, I love it. It's just total classic. Internet went crappy again, saying favorite movie is possibly the original Godfather. Part 2 is really close. Yeah, I've been itching to do a Godfather super binge. I want to watch the box set above my head of the AC3 ones, and then I want to go back and watch the TV recut one. So we'll see. What else we got going on? Have I watched the Japanese LD of Blade Runner? I've only watched the crappy Pan and Scan one, which I kind of enjoyed just for the fun of having a Japanese, the actual release that Warner Brothers put it out. Looks okay. Yeah, it's actually pretty bright and pretty vibrant and relatively detailed for a Pan and Scan copy. But it was fun. I did a screening of it at Retro World Expo, and it was cool. It was neat having the Japanese subtitles on it, and it was fun. But I was just watching that. I think Josh Zeiber did a piece on. It might have been High Def Digest, kind of going over all the NTSC LDs of Blade Runner. Ironically, I think the one that I have, he didn't have in the list. And it's the theatrical cut with the voiceover and everything like that. But it was pretty fun watching it. I need to get all the others, just because I have a Blade Runner addiction. So at some point, I'll get it. Jonathan, I would love to see the Pulse Story. Yeah, I mean, I still can't believe I saw it. It was killer stuff. It was a weeknight too, and I just got out of work. It was a bit of a drive to get up there, and I remember it was really pouring, and everybody was going up with their umbrellas, and they wouldn't let anybody into the stadium with the umbrellas, so there was just these giant barrels everywhere, just full of umbrellas that they were throwing out. That stadium must have made so much money, reselling umbrellas on Craigslist. Craigslist didn't exist back then, but whatever. Maybe they just donated it all to the local Salvation Army or something. It was crazy. So many umbrellas stolen. So yeah, everybody just got rained on. It did chill out though considerably once we were inside, and it was cool. I ran into a friend of mine from high school that happened to be there, and just really cool night. The sound was fantastic, and man, afterwards it sucked ass because the parking lot was so backed up. It was probably 1 a.m. or so by the time we actually got enough away from the stadium to start making some progress and getting home. So yeah, I was wrecked at work the next day. That used to be my thing though, back early 90s. Yeah, I'd be going to shows on a Wednesday night, and I'd be like, well, I want to meet the band and everything and hang out, and I was always getting 2 hours of sleep. But yeah, whatever. We got some more vinyl talk, some more Akira talk. Anybody see any of the bootleg footage of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I saw the Radiohead acceptance and the Roxy music. I'm a big Roxy music fan, so I had to watch that. The Cure actually set was really hot too. I haven't watched the Stevie Nicks one because I'm gonna watch that with my wife. She's a major Stevie fan. But I'll check out the HBO proper version when they drop it. What else we got? I haven't watched Chart Thang Dog was saying if I checked out the new Twilight Zone. I'm gonna watch that. Yeah, I gotta sit down over the weekend and check that out. And I'm a big Twilight Zone fan too. I loved the 80s reboot, but then the one like what, late 90s early 2000s one, Forrest Whitaker was the host. Those are pretty cool too. But yeah, and of course the originals are great. But yeah, really, there was a lot of really good writing in the 80s version, and a lot of those like really stuck with me. And anthology television was really hot back then, between Amazing Stories and Twilight Zone and Tales from the Crypt and Tales from the Dark Side. Yeah, we were really spoiled for kick-ass anthology shows. And yeah, I still got my old Crow soundtrack CDs too. I got the score that came out, like Varese Sarabande put it out, and then of course I had to pick up the soundtrack right away too. And then yeah, I saw that movie 10 times in the theater. So after a while, I started, because some of the songs aren't really featured much in it. Like there's like some songs that are just like playing on a car stereo quickly, and so it was fun watching again and trying to actually pinpoint some of the more obscure tracks on there and see if they were actually in the movie. Back when like songs on soundtracks actually were in the movie. Actually, that wasn't really always the case around that time too, because there was Batman Forever. Which was just an excuse to make a good compilation CD. Spirited Away, that's a good entry into Ghibli for sure. I saw that in the theater when it first came out too, and that was one of those like Hong Kong Blu-rays, not Hong Kong DVDs I imported because that it was already out there, and it had English subtitles. So I think even by the time I saw it in the theater, somewhere around there, I had that sucker on DVD. Jonathan picked up the Pat Labor Ultimate Collection this week. Oh, damn. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't mind grabbing. Kindergarten Cop starring Dolph Lundgren at Dollar Tree. I haven't watched it yet. Nice. Yeah, my Dollar Trees have been crappy lately. I gotta go back and see if they stock any more Blu-rays. It's been pretty much Big Lots has been the good place for cheap stuff lately. SF Marine was talking about picking up the Akira Criterion LD. I've got the CLV one, but I still don't have the CAV version. There was a cool guy who's now passed on that used to frequent Laserdisc forever, called William Tubbons, and he was really into Akira and was kind of breaking down all the color timing changes and everything like that. And if I remember correctly, his favorite was my favorite, which is the Japanese CLV version for the most accurate color timing. The CAV box set I still need to pick up too. So one of these days. Let's see. Pete's got a new list of cool jams or cool films. Close Encounters. Yep. Citizen Kane. I'm that guy that's like it's overrated and everything, but I still respect it absolutely for what it did and its technical feats. Original Star Wars, Ben-Hur, of course. Got some big ass Ben-Hur right here, right of the rock. Well, North by Northwest is killer. Yeah, man. When the first time I saw North by Northwest, I was like, holy crap, this is like a James Bond. I was already a huge James Bond fan. I'm like, this is a James Bond movie, except it's all taking place in the States, and he's not officially a spy and everything like that. Rear Window's killer. Yep, yeah. Hitchcock. Psycho. Yeah, it's all untouchable stuff. Oh, South Park. Yeah, I saw that. It looked expensive as hell, though. I could have swore it was like really pricey for a record store to have the South Park soundtrack. If that was a misprint, maybe I'll pick that up. Cause yeah, I thought it was like almost like $50 or something like that. But yeah, we'll see. Some of the other ones are. I want to get like the first Frank Black solo album's going to be coming out too. I'm gonna grab that. What else we got going on? Spirited Away is a fantastic movie. Favorite anime movies? Akira. Yeah, I mean it's tough to beat Akira, man. That just the first like 20 minutes alone I like better than a lot of full entire movies. Robot Carnival is really cool too, and yeah, and of course Macross Do You Remember Love, which I did watch for Anime Day on Saturday. The weekend I was doing a lot of stuff, a lot of work around the house, so I didn't have a chance to sit down and watch too many movies, but I did fire up that. I watched the old crappy analog audio, letterboxed, but not really good quality, early 80s Laserdisc instead of the the big box set that came out later, which is much nicer. But for some reason, I got a soft spot for that old Laserdisc. So I fired that up, and I've been watching a lot of like documentary stuff. I watched the horror noir documentary on Shudder, all about black culture and crossing over into horror films, and about blacks from being portrayed in 1890s, probably as far as back, and then of course going through the post whatchamacallit there, the super freaking Birth of a Nation, mega racist film, and then how that kind of like evolved into the 50s, and like there was just nothing but white characters in the 50s, and then the 60s and the 70s, blaxploitation stuff, and it was really fascinating. And then like everything kind of took a step back in the 80s, and then the 90s like started kicking ass again with like Demon Knight and Tales from the Hood, etc. So that was really interesting. And then right after that, I started watching the Eli Roth History of Horror series, which I never got a chance to check out. So I think I'm on the 4th or so episode of that. The coolest thing about that is he's got a lot of great, he doesn't really interview too many people. There's like a round table he has with Greg Nicotero and Rob Zombie of White Zombie fame, and everyone else is just kind of like talking heads. But he's got some great people that some real horror luminaries that are in that thing. But obviously they leave a lot. They kick a lot to the curb. The zombie show really neglected Return of the Living Dead, which was a bummer, and a few other things along the way too. So it's not really too comprehensive. The slasher one was pretty comprehensive. There was like 2 episodes devoted to slasher films, so that one was a little bit better. And obviously whatever super cult film of choice you have is not going to be mentioned in there, but it was still pretty cool. Let's see what we got going on down here. I think it's a Vincent in the house. Oh, yeah. Vincent, I hear, hates Logan's Run. So we're going to get into that in a hot second. Man. All right. I got to catch up. Where did I leave off? Man. We're talking about Terminator 2 again. Let's see. Trevor says it feels good to be a gangsta. Yes, it does. Let's see. Yeah, Pete was talking about if there were a Criterion Blu-ray of Pulp Fiction. The Criterion LD is one of those things. I love it and I hate it at the same time. I'll explain sometime in a proper video, but I would be interested in like a real proper Criterion Blu-ray if they did that of Pulp Fiction, and not just letting Quentin Tarantino do what he wants, which they let him do for the Laserdisc. So I think they kind of missed the boat on creating like an amazing box set, much like the Brazil box set, but instead it's pretty much just the same Pulp Fiction special edition that I've got on DVD and Blu-ray. There's really, it seems more expansive than it really is. It's just that it's a really long movie and takes up a lot of sides, and then when you read the extras, you're like, there's really not that much on here. And I'll talk about it in a full video at some point. So Jonathan, did I like Blade Runner 2049? I absolutely love Blade Runner 2049. And no, it's not, I don't think it's better than the original, but it just kind of sits next to it. It's weird. It's one of those weird things where I love it so much, but it doesn't retroactively change any of the way I feel about it. Like, I still am in love with the first Blade Runner just as much. There's nothing about Blade Runner 2049 that I'm like, oh well, that does that so much better that it retroactively degrades how I enjoy Blade Runner. So yeah, they just kind of sidle in next to each other, and I just love that Denis Villeneuve went for his own vibe, and everybody else just is obviously suckling from the Ridley Scott teat. I loved the, as much as I love the short films, and particularly the anime. I think that was another Shinichiro Watanabe thing, and I'd love to see a further Blade Runner anime. But that little short, like Blackout 2022, was super cool. But it, like you expect anybody else, it just kind of regurgitates, and it should, because it was taking place shortly thereafter, Ridley Scott's film, but it regurgitates all the Ridley Scott imagery, and like that's like the one thing that I really like Denis Villeneuve did is it obviously was respectful of the original film, but it went for its own vibe, and that kind of helped it kind of, I don't know, like have its own identity a little bit, but make it stand up to the original a little bit better if it was just the same set designs and all that sort of stuff, and the same tower buildings and everything like that. It really kicked ass, and I love it. I watch it often. That's like one of my like late night go-to movies. I just always throw that on. I just love that it takes its time. It's one of those movies you just kind of steep in it and just experience it, and totally awesome stuff. Super psyched I saw it twice in the theater too, because I saw it once in IMAX and once with the proper aspect ratio, and I kind of wish I had seen it the third time. But I'm looking forward to Villeneuve doing Dune too. Let's see what we got shaking down below here. Bam. Now Pete's got a red vinyl pressing of Sgt. Pepper. Damn. Let's see. Steven here wasn't digging the new Twilight Zone. Yeah, let's see. It's only like one episode too, right? So it might even be like the second or third one that really kicks ass. I mean, the 80s one, like some of the ones I loved, there was one where every second of time was built like from the ground floor up, and there was like one guy that overslept and like kind of slipped into a period in between seconds of time, and there's these guys in blue that are just all around his house building reality. Super cool. And then he's trying to figure out what's going on. There was there was like really some good like 5-minute ones too. Like there was one with like it's alien invasion, and like the UN trying to figure out what to do, and just sometimes like the twist was simple enough that like we'll just do it in 5 minutes, and then some were like a way bigger one. Like some of the earlier episodes, there was that one where there was like a nuclear missile that was just like hover, like someone had like the ability to freeze a moment, and like froze a moment right before a nuclear missile impacted, and it's like obviously you couldn't unfreeze time or else you were totally screwed, so it's just like sitting there. Man, I remember that was when I think Hurricane Gloria hit, when that first Twilight Zone, it might have been like 2 or 3 stories or something like that, but that first Twilight Zone like special happened. I remember going over to my friend's house because he had power. So True Romance on Laserdisc. I don't know if I replaced it. I had it obviously, and that was where I used to watch it all the time. First time I saw it was on cable, believe it or not, and I bought the Laserdisc and loved it. But then I bought the that double DVD with the tattoo on the cover. It's mostly black, and then I, like an idiot, there was a period where I sold a lot of Laserdiscs I had that I also had on DVD to thin out my collection before I knew better. And I don't know if I ever got it back. I don't think I did, so I need to get True Romance again on Laserdisc, I think. So, do I have a favorite spaghetti western? It's probably just got to be The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Though Once Upon a Time in the West is awesome, and Fistful of Dollars is awesome as well. I was just watching Django Prepare a Coffin. I really dug the Sartana films, especially the fourth one. But I mean, I really, really got into The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly hard, and that was like one of my Laserdiscs I watched on a regular basis, and I would show to my friends, and they got hooked on it, and it's just, it's too cool. Let's see what we got going on down here. Japanese LD of Akira. Yeah, I actually bought the Japanese LD of Akira in Boston at a multi-level Laserdisc superstore called Laser Craze. They eventually moved, but they were on Newbury Street in Boston. And they were, they would rent Laserdiscs. They had tons of, regular domestic discs, but they imported like mofos. And in fact, I actually talked with a gentleman who was part of like the original crew, and he was saying that the guys who ran the place basically had inherited a ton of money and were just running the business into the ground and just ordering stuff like crazy and just buying the coolest stuff. And I remember I think he said Pioneer had an issue with them because they were like discounting Pioneer players like well below what they were supposed to be sold for, and like all sorts of stuff. So apparently they weren't doing the best in terms of quality business running. But man, yeah, their stock was insane. And yeah, I was talking about the amount of stuff that was there was amazing for, especially all the Japanese imports. They had all the Twin Peaks box sets and all that stuff, and we're charging like $400 for them. And I was just knocked out by the stuff they had. But they had so many, people, clientele, like buying Laserdiscs, that they actually had a really heavy-duty used section. And I picked up a ton of used stuff. Sometimes the jackets were a little bit beat up, but I really got a nice copy of Akira for pretty cheap, too. So that CLV gatefold, gorgeous stuff. Ryan was saying the South Park vinyl is a super deluxe box. That explains the price then. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger on it, because I'd love to, just because there's so much other stuff I want to get. But what else we got? Bam. Oh, it's got like a pop-up cover and everything? Damn. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, Vincent's in here. He hated Logan's Run. He assumes people love it first saw it when they were under 13. Wow, that sounds like a snarky, like, like internet comment. That's like, there's always like the reason why people like films. It's usually because they were like too stupid or too young, or I always hear that. Are there films like this you've seen as an adult that don't hold up or cannot be enjoyed unless through the lens of young eyes? I'm trying to think. I generally still really dig the stuff I dug when I was younger. I'm trying to think. Logan's Run was one of those things it was a while before I saw the film itself. I think I saw pieces of it or whatever, but I used to see more of the TV show back in the day, like when that was out. And I even had like one of those magazines like Dynamite or something like that kids would have. They were like wafer thin, and I remember it had like the cast of the TV show in one of the articles, and I was like, that's the coolest. So I think that's kind of like where I came in. Elvin from Toronto, what's going on, man? And yeah, I think it was much later when I saw Logan's Run. So yeah, I wasn't 13 by the time I watched it. I think like I'd seen pieces of it or something like that, but the first time I really sat down and watched it from beginning to end was maybe like 18 or something like that, and freaking loved it. I still freaking love it. So yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just anything 70s sci-fi. There's a big chance I'm gonna dig it. Rollerball, obviously, and just anything around that era. But I loved the Jerry Goldsmith score. How insane it was, like schizophrenic it was, and how he decided to go for the super bloopy bleepy synth effects for the dome world, and then traditional strings for the exterior when they finally get out. I just I'm a Sandman at heart. Yeah, love me some Logan's Run. I also I was obsessed in the 70s with the style mall. There was a bunch of malls being put in, and obviously they weren't everywhere, but there was one in West Hartford, on the line of West Hartford, Connecticut, called West Farms. There was like that same 70s mall designer that a lot of the other ones had, but it was very futuristic. So there was that whole kind of Cloud City-esque mall vibe, and any those 70s 80s movies set in malls that used it as, or used a lot of the architecture of the time as futuristic buildings, there's something that really scratches an itch for me. So just that vibe of the dome and the living in there, and it's just, I just want to go watch it right now. and renew. Um, let's see. The studios prefer digital restoration. Let's see. I don't know. That's probably something Spencer would know about the cost of doing a digital restoration. I know. Now like when Warner Brothers would start doing like 2K, like when they did a 2K of Blade Runner, it was just they would show up in your town or in the city with like a black box essentially. I actually tried to get a screening of that in a film festival I was running called the Greater Hartford International Film Festival, and actually no, I think it was just the Hartford International Film Festival. Did it for like 3 years, and we were trying to get the new scan of Blade Runner at the time, and there was all these demands on what you needed to play it, and it was playing in New York and a few other places and stuff like that. But I remember that was like the first I heard of the, they just roll up with a little digital box. It's like, that's pretty cool. And now you don't even need any kind of physical thing. You can just beam it from the rollerball-esque archive until the computer forgets half of the films that are in it. What else we got? Black Parade is dead on vinyl with 3 new songs. I gotta make sure I probably shouldn't buy a ton of stuff next week so I can save some money for Record Store Day. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see. Jenny Agutter. I got a friend that was pretty sure the only thing he liked about Logan's Run was Jenny Agutter. But Vincent was complaining that there was a big whitewash in Logan's Run, so he's the only person of color in Logan's Run is wrapped in tinfoil. So hating on that Logan's Run, man. You love it. I'm just gonna wind up old and decrepit with a bunch of cats, and maybe some people will touch my wrinkles. How many discs has that been? Her 35th set worth the pickup. Yeah, it's cool. It's it's a beast. How many discs? CAV standard play. 5 discs. Yeah. It's got a 59-minute documentary, and it's got really good stuff. 2.76 to 1. Yeah. Nice release. I definitely recommend picking it up. Got it cheap. You could probably get it relatively cheap. Or if you know Moikey, he'll give it to you for free for the cost of shipping, because he hates those old people movies. I had the I think it was even a snapper case too. I think I bought it when Tout Records went out of business in the corner of Newbury and Mass Ave in Boston. I think that's where I picked that up. That was my go-to copy for the longest time. I love the 4K Bridge on the River. I freaking love Bridge on the River Kwai, so I would like to get a UHD of that. I have that on Laserdisc, of course, and I bought that DVD that had that like kind of like bamboo-esque like clamshell case. I think I sold that. I used to have like that kind of cloth-bound book DVD of Lawrence of Arabia and the Superbit copy of Lawrence of Arabia, but I don't know if I still have that anymore. No, I don't have an Armageddon on LD. I hated that movie when I saw it in the theaters, but because it's like a prime 90s flick, I would totally buy it on Laserdisc, and especially if I can find the Criterion one. So I would, I'd definitely grab it if I can find it. Let's see. Oh yeah, she was also American Werewolf in London, also classic. Austin was saying he likes the alternate title card in the Blade Runner work print. It is a trip, seeing that for the first time. I wish I had seen the work print when they were screening it in theaters, like in LA, around 91, something like that, 92. But what else we got going on? Armageddon LD is going for a pretty penny. So, but it's out there. You can probably find copies. You just not as expensive as some of the other stuff out there. Yeah, Peter didn't show up. I was going to ask him if he sold his Mission Impossible 2 that he was selling. Spencer didn't like 2049. 150 million art movie with no emotion, which is what the original was always labeled as missing. New film was really missing the voice of the peoples and Ridley. I love you, man, but I 100% disagree. That flick is amazing. Yeah, I find a lot of emotion in that film. And yeah, I just love Kay, love his journey. There's so many moments in that film that just gives me chills every time I see it. I love his interactions with his lady, Joy. So many great kind of interesting thematic juice in there, and I really love his journey and his debriefing. It's just so much I absolutely loved about that film. Anyways, but you're still my boy, so. Great Hall 75 was saying back in the day I worked at the theater that ran American Werewolf in London. Oh man, I never saw that in theaters. I think I saw it for the first time on cable, and was like, "What is this? This is awesome." Which movie do you wish had a sequel? I wish District 9 had a sequel, but don't care anymore anyways. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I wanted to have a Lost Boys sequel. In fact, I read that script that like someone said maybe Jeffrey Boehm wrote, maybe he didn't. Yeah, that was like kind of like a Lost Girls thing. It was a really fun script, but there was like, I would have wanted a Lost Boys sequel within a couple of years. Then by the time they started doing that like direct to video trash, I'm like, nah, I'm not even gonna bother watching that. So yeah, that obviously, if they had done a Big Trouble in Little China sequel properly shortly thereafter, that would have been badass. I wish they had made Buckaroo Banzai going up against Hanoi Shan and the World Crime League. That would have been kick-ass. But yeah, sadly, 'twas not to be. So yeah, I was very surprised that I loved Blade Runner 2049 as much as I did, because I was like, oh, Ridley Scott will have to make it, and then it seemed like he was going to for a while, and then I was like, oh, Denis Villeneuve, yeah, all right, whatever, but it's not going to be that great. And then I'm like, yeah, so much time has passed, you know, how can it really be that satisfying? And yeah, I just melt into that movie. It's really great stuff. Fifth Element sequel. That's another one. I want a Fifth Element sequel. Somebody was talking about Bruce Willis. Made me think about that. Bruce Willis episode of Twilight. Yeah, I think there was. I'm trying to remember which one that was, though. I'm gonna have to go back and write. I've got a lot of those on VHS too. So, Chappie was fun. Yeah, got some D'Antwoord in there. I liked Elysium too. I know that was like kind of a little bit of a disappointment after District 9, but it was fun enough. And yeah, Chappie had a lot of good juju to it. So, you know, his stuff was cool because Blomkamp just had that little extra vibe that was different from a lot of the other flicks that were coming out, you know, with similar content. But yeah, he's got his own kind of spin to things, which I dug. I just added Outer Limits to Amazon Prime, both the old series and the 90s. You know, I never really did get into the 90s one for some reason. And they used to show that all the time, like on syndicated TV back in the day. And I really should give that another shot. But the old school stuff, yeah. Shout outs to Lance from RetroWare, who hooked me up with a bunch of Outer Limits box sets on Laserdisc, which was way cool. Let's see what we got going on. Pete was giving shout outs to the Blu-ray restoration of Sleeping Beauty. I know people are always doing comparisons of, not that one in particular, but I know Cinderella on Blu-ray, and saying about they keep changing the imagery over the years, and there's like a YouTube video comparing, like going back to like the VHS copies, etc., and how that keeps changing. Austin also has that True Romance 2-disc guess. He said, yeah, man, that was that like great period. Quentin stuff was dropping hard. There was the Pulp Fiction 2-disc set with the slip cover. There was the Jackie Brown one with the bullet holes. I think they came out on the same day. Then Artisan was dropping Reservoir Dogs sets like they were going out of style. Jonathan McNabb was saying he had a huge crush on Patricia Arquette back in the 90s, especially after Lost Highway. You know, it's funny. I used to room with two girls, and one of my girl roommates had a huge crush on Patricia Arquette too, so we would have to go see anything with Patricia Arquette in it. And like Beyond Rangoon came out, she's like, "We're going to see it." Yeah, Lost Highway, man, oh, amazing stuff. Let's see. It's shaking out. It's Lost Highway. Lost Highway was on Laserdisc, and it's really gorgeous. I gotta give a shout out to Vincent, even though he hates Logan's Run. Oh, somebody's got a hidden. I gotta unhide that. Even though Vincent hates Logan's Run, I will forgive him for that because he gave me a Lost Highway on Laserdisc. Do I have it? It's also on Japanese Laserdisc, which is nice too. There are multiple pressings. It was like Polygram had it on. Where we got it? Lost Highway. There we go. And DADC USA did a pressing of it. So, but the jacket art is freaking gorgeous. Absolutely, I had to have a copy of this, and it's pretty minty. But yeah, they did alternate pressing, and this looks fine. So there's no laser rot, and it's a great looking flick. So I'll get the Japanese one at some point too, for sure. It's my favorite David Lynch movie, with Blue Velvet's probably second. So Maureen got the entire Pink Panther collection from Shout Factory. Yeah, my mom's got that. I almost stole that from her. Thoughts on the new RoboCop sequel that's coming? I'm that one's off my radar. I haven't heard much about that. So the reboot, that's one of those ones I'm kind of in on it. I'm kind of out on it. I think it did enough well on its own merits, but the original RoboCop is just so damn iconic. There's some movies where it's so freaking iconic that it really was almost too soon to remake it. So I still can't give it enough credit for what it was doing, and I still watch it. I have it on Blu-ray, but I'm not sure about the new stuff. What do we got? Bam. Yeah. Ari from Virginia is in the house. I've got a DLP mini projector onto a 100-inch theater screen. Converters. That's a can of worms for sure. One quick and dirty, simple way to do it is go through an old early 2000s DVD recorder. Even if it doesn't actually record, you can use it to take in the composite signal, and a lot of the early 2000 units have good comb filters, and you can use that to pump out, depending on the one you have, either a composite or a component 3-channel signal or HDMI. Like if you have a DMR ES25 Panasonic, you can pump out a HDMI and do that. There's been a lot of stuff going on the Laserdisc Forever page about using things that gamers love, like FrameMeisters. FrameMeister isn't really good for LD, and there's those AV to HDMI little Chinese super cheap things. A lot of what happens too is if you pump those in, it distorts the image, stretches the 4:3 LD image to 16:9, which a lot of TVs do naturally anyways, but it'll then like lock that image, and whatever your TV just gets it as a 16:9 image and doesn't do anything with it. So if you want to actually be able to have some bars on the side of the screen if you're watching 4:3 material, or if you want to zoom it, you need something a little bit better. And it depends on what you have in your projector as well for capability for adjusting the image. But if you're going like 100 inches or something, it's nice to have some good comb filter at least. Check out, I don't know if a lot of his older videos are still up, but Laserdisc Comb Theater, or Buddy Peter, is the guy that just gets every possible processor combination out there and tests them all out. There's some Faruja devices. Some of the Ferrugia DVD players they came out with actually will pass through a signal too. And I know Vincent, even though he hates Logan's Run, also appreciates one of the Ferrugia DVD players for pumping through a signal. It gets a little wonky because you need something to, of course, split the signal into chroma and luma, and so you need something with a good comb filter, and then you need something to de-interlace, then you need something to upscale, and then possibly noise reduction. So there's all these little implements, things that you need to implement it for Laserdisc on a digital display, and like there's no one device that does all four of those things amazingly. Sometimes a lot of TVs have a good enough comb filter and upscaler built into them. I know a lot of people have flat screen plasmas and just dig them. So, you might just want to see it depends on what your DLP projector has too. If it has, a composite end, you might want to just try it out, see what it looks like, and go from there. And then, if it has any kind of image resizing or zooming or any of that stuff too, that might change things. But from the smaller end of the scale, like for processors, if you don't go for one of the kind of strange kind of mix and match things where you get like a DVD player or something like that, and maybe a couple other things in the mix, you could just get like an older DVDO processor. I've got an Edge Green. I know a lot of people don't like that one, but the Duo was a popular DVDO model for a while. What else? Some of the iScans, people like those. And you can get those reasonably cheap. And then, if you want to go full on Peter level, you can get some of the Lumigens, which, the main Lumigen that everybody in the high end loves is like $3,500, $4,000. So you definitely want to make sure you're really into LD before you go down that road. But you can get a DVDO for a couple $100 or something, depending on the day of the week. But Spencer was saying that Record Store Day is too crazy and richly priced for my blood. Yeah, I usually always go and get a moderate amount of stuff. I don't usually get too nutty, but there's usually something super cool that I want to get, especially because some of my favorite bands always seem to release something on Record Store Day. So even if it's a small year, I'll still go in and pick up a couple of things. And a lot of times you could still get stuff, weeks or years later. Some are actually limited releases, and some are, thousands and thousands of pressings. Let's see. Did you get my email about Central Florida buyer? I don't know if I did. I'm gonna go check my emails. Morrison A.B. was mentioning that. I will check that. I don't know if I had gotten that. On the Blu-ray and 4K of the original Evil Dead, there are digital tweaks or reflections of crew and film, and the moon has been altered. It looks great. Yeah, the gold Laserdisc is fantastic. I also was always a big fan of the, same thing essentially, the Elite DVD port. I, of course, had the Anchor Bay, that jewel case DVD, which that one I didn't like as much. And then I got the horrendous, I had to get both of the Book of the Dead, packages just for the Books of the Dead. I thought those were super cool. With the like the Tom Sullivan Book of the Dead with the kind of actual what should we call it, latex, Book of the Dead. Those were great. And then of course I've gotten everything up until I haven't gotten the 4Ks for Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2 yet, but I'm still totally cool watching the original Elite versions. I'm down with that. I never did get the Herald disc, which supposedly looks super blue and very different color timing. Some people love that thing. One of these days I'll pick that up, the Japanese release. But I'm totally cool with anything Elite and Evil Dead. That's pretty much like my go-to. That said, I don't mind the Blu-ray, but so looks okay. What else we got going on here? Man, people talking about how RoboCop rules. Yes, it does. Damn, I'm way behind. Let me get back up here. Man. talk about Jonathan started reusing digital copy codes. Dark Knight Rises, which I got. Yeah, I actually am surprised at the amount of older codes I have that still work. Because when digital copies first started dropping, they would just be actual physical discs, and then you'd have like a code or something that you need to unlock it or download it onto your laptop. And I didn't do any of that. I gave all those away to friends and family and stuff like that. So when Ultraviolet came out, I remember everyone was just pissing and moaning about it. And then that was actually, ironically, the one that I did start redeeming things. I got Flickster. If there's ever like a question as to whether or not your digital collection, your legal digital collection, is destined for failure, just think about Flickster, and then think about Ultraviolet all over it. Like everything that they kind of throw at you as a library or some sort of permanent digital solution is only going to last for about 2 years at most. So yeah, I had my entire collection on Flickster, and then certain titles would disappear, and then I'd have to repunch in the codes again. And then I started using the Voodoo app, and then now sometimes I watch them on Amazon, and I just keep shuffling them around from place to place, and still every once in a while they get dropped and I this stuff. So it's not an amazingly comprehensive solution, but it's just a fun side collection to my actual physical discs. But yeah, I redeem the hell out of those things. I haven't gone as far as buying those. I know there's a lot of people that sell those things for $5 or less or whatever, but screw that. I'm not paying for those digital copies. But yeah, I don't mind redeeming them for sure. Let's see. But yeah, I am surprised at some of the older ones that they still work, because they always say, this is going to expire within 2 years. A lot of times they really just keep them going. Pete and Spencer are going at it. Yes, expiration dates too, or even for a lot of vinyl I get have digital copies a lot of times, and they I got the Rush Caress of Steel vinyl recently, and that code was expired, but it's still downloaded. And it was cool too, because it was an actual needle drop of a vinyl copy, not just like a digital master. 4K was saying, saw the IMAX 5-minute trailer of Godzilla King of Monsters on Vimeo. Oh man, damn, it's going to get taken down by tonight. Shit. I'm looking forward to that. That should be pretty cool. And yeah, I've got faith in that one. I'm hoping. Are there any direct-to-video sequels you did like? Man, direct-to-video sequels are usually the bane of my existence, but there's got to be one that I was like, that was okay. Smoking Aces 2 was a big turd. Never watched the Darkman sequels. Never watched the From Dusk Till Dawn sequels. Never watched the Vampire sequels. I know there's got to be a direct-to-video sequel that I liked. There's got to be one. I don't know. Maybe the answer might be no. It might very well be no. S.M. Marine. I was talking about Jonathan. Any fans of John Carter or Cowboys and Aliens? I'm actually an apologist for both of those films. I saw John Carter in the theaters, and that was one of those things. The film press had latched on so hard about it being a failure, and everyone involved in it being a failure, and that audiences actually started to kind of buy into that. And nowadays, man, it's amazing how insane John Carter seemed. But nowadays, fans and fans and trolls and stuff are just frothing over anything. So it's really kind of quaint in retrospect. But people who really bought into the negative buzz about John Carter, and I saw it in the theater, and the audience loved it. I had a great time with it too. Cowboys and Aliens I enjoyed, and I enjoyed the longer cut too of that. I got on Blu-ray. I saw that in the theater, and yeah, man, decent cast, and both of those films were way fun. Jonathan giving kudos to the Lost Highway cover. Yeah, man, I love that thing. People talking about streaming. Yeah. Streaming is love it and hate it. Austin was saying, I don't think the first RoboCop will ever top. It came out under the right circumstances. Perfect storm. Yeah, man, that like Verhoeven vibe and just the hyper violence and the futuristic aspect of it, the dark satire, and yeah, it really was a perfect storm. So it's just killer stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Didn't talk about Cessna Ace. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was funny. It's so funny that for those who hadn't watched before his stuff, Cessna Ace is I think he's from Florida, but he is a collector of not just Laserdisc, but a lot of retro video games, etc. But he was collecting Laserdisc and more like kind of with the goal of collecting just about I think every single like Laserdisc. He probably has a Laserdisc museum in his house, and I know he like won't open sealed discs he gets and stuff like that. So he's really just kind of curating them. But he's got this huge library of Laserdisc collection videos on YouTube, and I know myself, Steve Vincent Furness, and a couple other guys would always watch his stuff. And back when I was thinking about doing LD videos, I was always watching Cessna Ace's videos on a regular basis. And yeah, it was cool. Like he always like looked into the camera like a cool way when he was like showing you the discs, and yeah, he would always drop knowledge about the pressings and the mint marks, and yeah, it was cool stuff. But yeah, he disappeared for years, and then all of a sudden came back. And it's funny because he kind of came back as a retro gamer. Kind of that was his goal, and he was. I think he was surprised at the amount of Laserdisc specific commentary he was getting from people saying, "Oh, cool, come do some Laserdisc." He's like, "I'm getting more Laserdisc comments than I am retro gaming," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, so it happens when you're a Laserdisc legend. You don't even know it." So, Psycho Lava was saying Hollywood needs to stop with the constant reboots of '80s films. Yeah, there's a limit for sure, and I'm still definitely going to boycott a remake of Big Trouble in Little China if they make that. There's no way in hell I'll go see that. Let's see. Oh, okay. Some of the people who are okay with John Carter and Cowboys and Aliens. So, nope, Jonathan is not crazy. Let's see what's going on. Oh, yeah. Submarine was saying some of your LD boxing, you completely tear off the film. So many people keep theirs on and just make for a slip for the disc to come out. Pretty common. Yeah, I'm pretty much a cellophane destroyer. Part of it is they call it shrink wrap, and it actually does shrink over time. And Japanese LDs really not a big deal, but then they didn't tend to shrink wrap theirs so much. They actually had like bags that they would have sealed on all four sides that you'd have to kind of cut open and take the disc out. And you can actually kind of just use those as just bags, just throw the disc right back in there if you want. But those jackets are really thick, and a lot of American Laserdisc jackets are easily creasable and can create these stress fractures on the jackets. And after time, a lot of that shrink wrap just starts bending things. So this times I'll see like sealed lots, and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And like I don't know if it's nearby. Maybe it's over here. Sorry, didn't mean to hit you guys. I think it's behind me, but like the Odyssey TV series from the 90s, the miniseries, like it's like the jacket's all sorts of bent from the shrink wrap. So it's kind of a bummer. So I usually tear it off just for that, but if it's got hype stickers, like this one, like that one, yeah, or double digital ones or something like that, I'll definitely I'll keep those. I'll cut those out, keep those separately. But yeah, I definitely tear off the shrink. I know some people take them off and stuff. I'm like super weird about my Laserdisc jackets too. When I collected before, I never had any bags on them because the only bags I ever saw were like the thicker LP style bags, which ironically I don't mind storing my LPs in, but for some reason I hate and despise seeing Laserdiscs in LP sleeves, and if they're cloudy or thick or anything like that, I just despise it. And then after a while they just get so gnarly looking that you see your nice beautiful jacket through that gnarly looking sleeve most of the time, and you almost never see the actual nice looking jacket. So that's when I started getting into the crystal clear polypropylene resealable sleeves with that look, gorgeous. They do start kind of like rippling over time, stuff like that, but nothing really too crazy. So I just love the look of those things. So I didn't even start sleeving my discs until the 2000s, which kind of sucks. I wish I had done that a little bit earlier. But yeah, so I was very anti shrink wrap. Even if I just kind of slid aside, it just got in the way of the magic of the jacket for me. So there you go. Yeah, Bean Cardi is the local wizard. I don't know where he is though. He was talking about showing up. He's probably just gonna watch it tomorrow and then complain about the volume being too low. He's had a busy day though, so he's being investigated. So that takes a lot out of you. Pete's going to eat some eggs. Have fun. I saw something about a bingo hand job. What? What's going on there? We got a fan of RoboCop 3 in the house, so that's nice. I never got into RoboCop 3. I tried a bunch of times, and it just always just kind of bored me, I guess. So, but then again, I'm a bit of an apologist for RoboCop 2, so what do I know? Oh, Submarine's bringing in the Husky. Nice. Say hi to your Husky for us. Do LDs look good on old rear projection screens? Does anything? Yeah, they can look nasty. I was talking about this last week actually. Old like black and white stuff looks pretty good on rear projection screens, and anime stuff looks pretty good on rear projection screens. But I actually got regular films looking pretty good on my Sony RP TV, but you had to be at a good distance for sure. If you were right up on it, it looked like ass. But DVD, like progressive scan DVD, looked great on my Sony RP TV. I actually was surprised at how much I loved it. I didn't think I would be a fan of moving into CRT or RPTV from direct view, but I was digging it. And then my dad dropped it and broke it, because that's what he does. Sorry, Dad. Austin's got the Anchor Bay latex book of the first Evil Dead. Yeah, I've got that, and Evil Dead 2. I think Evil Dead 2 was the one where you pressed the eye and it screamed. And I've heard a lot of people saying they had problems with the latex drying out and just falling off, but mine are still going good. I should probably spritz some water on them or something, keep them moist. But yeah, I've got them on a shelf, and they're still okay. Clarence Boddicker. Yeah, Clarence Boddicker was a man. Yeah, everyone terrified me in RoboCop. Yeah, you got Boddicker, you got Ronnie Cox, Michael Ironside. Everybody's just so scary. Oh, not I was thinking of Miguel Ferrer. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, damn. Michael Ironside was scaring me in Total Recall. Yeah, Ultraviolet shutting down. Every freaking service shuts down after a couple of years. It's like, what the hell? So yeah, sadly, I've been looking for LED pickups. I've got, I think a couple that are still coming, but it has been dry. I actually went to one of the record stores near me, has about 2 boxes of discs that I would probably pick through pretty hard, but they're all labeled $10 a pop, and I just get tired of arguing with record store owners, and the guy that owns the place is really decrepit. I feel bad for him, because when he tries to check you out, his hands are shaking and he's trying to get his stuff together, and he's the last guy I'm just gonna fight about the price of Laserdisc with. But even if they were $5 a pop, I would start picking them up. They do have some box sets that maybe I'll get, mostly Vincent films, highbrow stuff. So maybe I'll get some of their box sets that I was gonna get. They had Nirvana's live tonight or whatever release. I was gonna splurge on the $10 for that, but then it looks like it's gone the last time I went. But there's some decent stuff in there, but it's just so overpriced. And then the other record store I had down the street from me had a few LDs, but nothing I really needed to pull the trigger on. So yeah, it's been really dry. Craigslist has been super dry. I don't know if it's because poachers coming through picking everything up, but there's been a few things, but they're all way overpriced. Facebook Marketplace has a few things, but yeah, it's been a while since I've seen a really good lot. There is like a still small pile of decent stuff that I want to pick up, but I was stopping because I'm redesigning this room and was waiting to get some more storage. And probably didn't help. I was buying a lot of vinyl at the time too, so that was stealing some of my 12-inch storage space. So yeah, now I got a little bit more room. I can get a couple more. I sold a bunch of LDs to the archive, so I got a little bit more room. Maybe I can pick some stuff up and start hitting the wish list. But yeah, I really haven't been finding anything locally at all, which which kind of sucks. And yeah, I'd gotten a couple of really good lots over the years, and it seems to be drying up. I mean, because of the competition's heating up. So what else we got? Yep, Spencer also passes those digital copies along to friends and family, which is nice. My buddy Paul from Australia will hook me up with his because he can't use them, and so he hooked me up with a ton of good ones. Also was saying I've seen some work from 2012. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I've had a few that have crapped out on me that were pretty old, but yeah. Nemesis 2 is dumb fun, but has some nice action sequences. Yeah, Albert Pune classicness. Yeah, I'd check out Nemesis 2. Tremors 2 is a decent direct video. Yeah, the Tremors flicks. Yep, that's actually a good one. I never stepped past that one. There's a lot of later ones that I know a friend of mine watches them all, but he gives me the whole rundown of the storyline. Melinda goes to Goodwill and all that stuff, and my Goodwill is horrible. Our thrift stores are rough. I found like maybe 2 LDs at thrift stores, and they're usually covered in crap, and I never found an LD player in a thrift store, sadly. Record stores, I have a little bit better luck, but I also have just as much luck finding like a lot of 80s pan and scan copies that with like a thick layer of dust over them. What we got? Jonathan was asking something. Oh, that's funny. Jonathan was asking if there's a movie that has eluded for years that you really want to see. One of his is Possession from 1981. Possession is also one of mine. In fact, I almost bought it when I was at the archive. I never heard of that movie until the 90s, and when I was getting a lot of bootlegs from Video Search from Miami and this guy wasn't Video Junkie. Was it Video Junkie? I think that was, yeah, Video Junkie, out of San Diego, and it was one of those guys had it in their listing, and I was like, that sounds really cool. And I was like, I'm going to check that out. And then I just never got around to checking it out. So yeah, that is totally on my list of films that I'm sure I'll dig and everybody says is great. But yeah, I've still yet to see it. So, but at least I'm glad it's out there. I can grab a Blu-ray of it if I want to. But yeah, good choice. I'm sure there's some more too that have eluded me until now. Got my Newbury Comics Jason Glass. What year is this? 2009. Man, vintage. Yeah, sorry. Got to see my ganked up hand. Phantasm. Yeah, I was talking about that a couple of weeks ago. I need to finally man up and watch the Phantasm sequels, but I love the first Phantasm so much that I don't want to see any other Phantasm movies, just because I don't want anything to taint the perfection of the first Phantasm in my, it's like forever sealed in my world. And as a little kid, just terrified of it, and yeah. So, but I've heard good things about them. So one day I will actually pull the trigger and watch those Phantasm sequels, and hopefully they won't destroy my childhood. Yeah, Criterion's launched so many streaming channels. And I did watch maybe a couple Criterion titles when they were on Hulu, but it's weird. I love Criterion. I love owning Criterion discs, but for some reason, Criterion loses 85% of its allure to me when it's streaming. So because I had the Criterion, it's kind of just a weird mindset, but like I had this Criterion library at my beck and call, but because I didn't have a physical copy of it, like my mind wouldn't allow me to like appreciate it for some reason. It's weird. So yeah, like I don't think I would actually pay for a Criterion streaming service. For me, like Criterion is always interlinked, cells interlinked. It's always interlinked with physical media for some reason. So I have a hard time accepting it streaming. And like I'm guessing, I'm hoping the streaming channel will have some sort of extras or something, but like, you know, the first thing I want to do when I finish watching a Criterion release is just dive into the extras. So when Hulu had those films, like it was just right, the movie's on there, but now what? So I'm on the fence on that. Oh, John Jenkins in the house. What's going on? Welcome aboard. Long time no see. Melinda was talking about hunting for LEDs in the Midwest. Yeah. Massachusetts near me is usually pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot of collectors though there too. So yeah, I'd be facing some stiff competition trying to get some stuff in the Boston area. But yeah, there's still some things out there. What else we got shaking on here? Pete was saying the Third Man should be on Criterion 4K. Yeah, the only Third Man I have is the Laserdisc. So, Strictly Sega was asking if I have Baraka. I don't have it on Laserdisc, but I do have. I need it in high definition because I have a DVD copy, which really isn't that great. Actually, no, I think I did get they did a remastered DVD that did look better. But the first one I had just looked pretty much like a port of the Laserdisc transfer. And I'd done screenings of that actually, so I think I did a screening of the remastered one at a film festival I used to kind of curate called Kino Cafe. And I used to go see that in 70. One of my local theaters called Cine Studio in Hartford would screen Baraka because they kind of considered it a Christmas movie. So every Christmas season they would screen it in 70 millimeter. So I've seen that in 70 millimeter like at least 4 or 5 times. Baraka's awesome. But I don't own Samsara yet. I'll have to get that. But yeah, Baraka, man. That snow monkey guy. He's the coolest. But yeah, I actually wouldn't mind getting on Laserdisc just to have it on LD. Though I do have the Dead Can Dance Toward the Within Laserdisc that has scenes from Baraka mixed in with it. Let's see. Oh, Bingo Handjob was a one-night only REM secret show in the U.S. and their RST released this year. All right, that explains it. He wasn't actually looking for a handjob. That makes more sense. Machiwumi Poo from Washington State. Oh, watch Soylent. Oh, yeah, when I was talking about 70s sci-fi. Soylent Green. Yeah, that was up there too. That was one of those ones I saw when I was younger. And I was like, what the hell is this? Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I've got a deep love for Soylent Green, Logan's Run. Sorry, Vincent. Rollerball, and I know there's a few others from that period too that kind of fit in with that. Yeah, 70s sci-fi is like right up my alley. Let's see what we got going on here. Let's see. Yeah, dreaded used store prices for LDs are the worst when they don't understand the format. Yeah, that's the thing. Luckily, there's some good stores in the Boston area who will price things for $5 and under if they're actually cheap discs. Because I'm not gonna buy Jerry Maguire for $10. Like, it's just not happening, especially when there's the chance it might be a rotter. But yeah, $4 or something like that. I'd even go $5 for some stuff, just for supporting a local business and all that stuff. Unless it was something special, obviously. But a lot of times they don't know what they have, and they're not interested in you telling them like the format either. So yeah, I usually just end up leaving stuff behind. But yeah, if it's shiny, it's great. Oh, Spencer was what I was using for LD and vinyl storage. Yeah, it's kind of like a mongrel setup all scattered throughout my house. Of course, I got the Kallax IKEA unit behind me. I've got a 8 cube Better Homes and Gardens Walmart Kallax knockoff, which is, those are pretty cool, but they're not as good. Like, they're a little chintzier than the Kallax, which, I mean, IKEA stuff isn't really built for longevity either, but they cheaped out on some of the models. They cheaped out on some of the cross shelving, whereas like these cross shelves are like, they go all the way across. And then on the Better Homes and Gardens, like only the one that's like in the middle actually has like the metal fasteners to tighten it in, and then the other ones are just like on those dowels, and like they're pretty thick dowels, but there's no way in hell I'm putting LPs even on a shelf that's just supported by these stupid little dowels. Whereas these Kallax ones have dowels on the top and bottom, but it's just vertical. There's like these side ones are like all metal fasteners. So I was kind of disappointed in that. But yeah, I've got one of those cubes, 8 cube one, and then downstairs I've got you might have saw in my room tour video, like a 3 cube unit that's not, it was like a local like a wood craftsmanship place that has also 3 drawers. I have a bunch of VHS tapes in, but you could fit like a ton of vinyl in there. So I've got most of my vinyl downstairs in there, and then I've got a Better Homes and Gardens 4 cube, which I actually like that one a lot, and I got a ton of vinyl on that. But up here it's mostly this for the LD, and then that other Better Homes and Gardens has the kind of overflow. But yeah, it's definitely I'm walking a thin line right now, where I need to get some sort of even more storage if I'm gonna start buying more, or start thinning some things out. Maybe see if there's some stuff that I really don't love, but it's tough because I have kind of already fairly well curated this collection. And yeah, oh yeah, I gotta do my collection breakdown. But all right, so we'll get to that. Probably missing some stuff along here, but everybody's chatting, so that's cool. What was it Spencer was saying? Yeah, got to charge $50 for Men in Black because it's a late release. Speed and Braveheart's so rare, I'll let them go for 80. I know what I have. It's always, yeah, I know what I have. What else we got? New Kubrick Blu-rays. Yeah, I see a Kubrick Blu-ray with the tennis ball that's not pink. That'd be pretty cool. Submarine was also talking about the Criterion streaming venture they're going for. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Oh yeah, Spencer was also doing the petition for the original long cut of Batman Forever. I hate Batman Forever, but I would like to see a long cut of it for sure. And again, it's one of those things, just for its 90s-ness, I will definitely buy it on Laserdisc at some point. I do like the soundtrack, though, however. Some good stuff on the soundtrack. Whatever intern designed the new Batman cover should be fired, yeah. Bad cover art is like a new art right now. Everyone's crushing it. Any thoughts on Coppola announcing he's making a 3rd cut of Apocalypse Now and new cuts to the Godfather? I'm good with Apocalypse Now. I wouldn't mind seeing like the bootleg cut that used to make like the rounds on VHS. But I kind of just want to see like a bootleg work printy copy of it. Like, I don't really need a new like redo, like a polished one. And yeah, definitely not really super psyched about any Godfather recuts either. And the redo is interesting of Apocalypse Now, and I do enjoy owning it. But the theatrical cut is still my go-to copy of Apocalypse Now. So yeah, I think if anything, I'd like to see just a crappy bootleg copy of the really, really long supercut that like Film Threat said they had back in the 90s that I never got around to finding. Oh, wait. What's going on? We buffering? Yep, I think we're okay. Did Paramount release any horror films in widescreen on the LD? I never understood why they hate their horror catalog. Yeah, I mean, I guess the closest would be stuff that crosses over into, on the edge of horror, like The Keep, Michael Mann's film. But yeah, I've talked about it before. I'm extremely ambivalent about horror on Laserdisc because I freaking love horror. And I collected horror hard on VHS and on DVD, but not as much on Laserdisc at the time. I didn't collect it because they didn't really treat horror right on Laserdisc. And by the time they did, it was very late in the game, and Roan Group and Elite and all those guys were killing it, but they were also killing it concurrently with killing it on DVD. And at that point, I had already made the jump to DVD, so I would roll into media play and just crap my pants at the array of killer cult horror movies that were available from Anchor Bay and Synapse and all these people. So I was a kid in a candy store. It was like the second coming of horror on VHS. So yeah, all the Paramount, I'm not buying any of the Friday the 13th movies on the LD as much as like I'd love to have Friday the 13th Part 3 on LD, but the fact that they didn't care enough about the movies, like it's just the VHS transfers on Laserdisc. So I'd just rather have a VHS copy of that. So yeah, it's a bummer. Like, Return of the Living Dead has the original soundtrack and everything like that, but yeah, it's just VHS Plus. Like, they really did start releasing some killer horror stuff like at the end, but again, like it was like almost the same exact releases that were getting put on DVD. And then I realized I can get like a DVD of Tenebrae at like Sam Goody or Media Play, which is normally extremely overpriced, but it still would be cheaper than getting it on Laserdisc. So yeah, it started being one of those things where I swapped over. That said, if I will encounter certain titles, I will foolishly I will overspend a little bit, especially if I see something in the wild, like Tenebrae, or if Vinny Boncolari of Elite says I've got Evil Dead copies still sealed in my warehouse, then yeah, I'm gonna overspend and get some. And there's some good stuff in Japan too, but there's also a lot of VHS Plus titles from Japan too. So I definitely haven't gone down the Lucio Fulci rabbit hole of dropping $200 plus on the Beyond and etc. that I already own on other versions. So I want to love horror on LD, but I'm still disappointed by how it was treated for the most part. And now I'm disappointed by how overpriced it is. What you see is going on down here. Oh, damn it! What was that? There's some stuff. Yep, talking cuts. Men in Black. Yeah, Men in Black was rotting. Oh, dude, Freddy. What's going on, Freddy? Step of the Drama is awesome. Sam Hatch is the one true culture dog. I've been meaning to give you a call for like a long time. I know you've been like wicked busy and everything, but thanks for stopping by, Freddy. Yeah, one of these days we got to catch up, and hopefully you're having a good time and good springtime. It's starting to get warm here, which is actually delightful. But what was I saying? Oh, Men in Black. Yeah, there's a DADC USA pressing that is really rotten, but the Pioneer also did an alternate pressing, which looks great. So Columbia House, not Columbia House, but Columbia, would always use DADC USA to press their releases. So Bad Boys, talking about that, also potentially rotted all the time. They also did the Eraser pressing that is usually rotted. So what's going on down here? Man, I'm catching up. Starting catching up. 4K Kwai is a revelation. Oh, good to hear. Spencer was talking about Media Play too. Yeah, man, I loved Media Play. I used to rock that store like crazy. I had a couple of them in my neighborhood too, so I would jump around a little bit. Oh, thank you very much, Freddie. I appreciate the kind words. I'm glad you're still watching, for sure. I know I've been slacking on putting out some content, so that's why I'm trying to at least do these live streams once a week, get going. Oh yeah, I was gonna do my breakdown of my Laserdisc collection as into genre. So officially, I think there may be a couple missing, but the the lowest category is undefined. I've got 10 undefined. I've got one romance, which I know is bogus because I know I got some other movies that count as romance. I've got one cartoon, which obviously is bogus because, I know I've got more than that. I've got one jazz title. I got two making of titles, three that count as family, three demo discs, four computer animation, which must be the Beyond the Mind's Eye and all that stuff, six adventure films, six war films, seven TV series, eight crime films, eight fantasy films, eight documentaries, 12 musicals, 15 animation titles, which is funny because Japanese animation, I know I've got way more than that. 16 music videos, which also seems light. I don't know if I'm trusting this LDDB listing. 19 westerns. Oh, here we go. 33 live concerts. They split that up. 62 horror titles. Oh, okay, here we go. 66 anime titles. Also 66 comedy titles. 68 thrillers. 106 sci-fi films. And probably multiple copies of Blade Runner and 2001: Space Odyssey and Star Wars helped that. 112 drama films, so shout outs to Vincent, and 186 action films, which makes sense considering I really got bit by the bug to collect 90s action flicks on Laserdisc. So there you go. That's the official genre breakdown. SF Marine, I love Starship Troopers. Yeah, man, another Verhoeven classic. That somebody I was talking to once was talking about how Paul Verhoeven either had a mental break at one point or a breakdown, and you could see it in his films or something. There was this residual madness that was always part of his films and made them interesting. So maybe that's something about it. But just the hyper violence, and you still got interesting characters, but then the satire in there's something about it. I know my wife hates Starship Troopers, so I always have to watch that one by myself. It also reminds me a lot at times of one of my favorite comics I used to read in the 80s, which was called Alien Legion, which might have been influenced by Heinlein's Starship Troopers too. But a lot of the vibe of the main character reminded me of this character Tori Montrock from Alien Legion, and so maybe that's why I love it so much. But yeah, Starship Troopers, it's got a I don't know, charisma. Austin Wilcutt was saying, love to see a 4K director's cut of Hellraiser. Still caught a bit of footage missing. Indeed, I'm still cool with the Blu-ray Arrow version. In the meantime, at least, and of course my Laserdisc copy. But yeah, Pete was also digging the original cut of Apocalypse Now. Yeah, that theatrical cut is. I mean, there was some cool stuff in the redo, but. And it's fun seeing the extra stuff with the Playboy bunnies and everything. But Garrick27 is talking Saturday Matinee here in Danbury. Yeah, Saturday Matinee was one of the stores that you could always find in a mall, and that was the place I bought my first Laserdisc. It was the night I got my Laserdisc player, but first I bought some LDs. I got Project A-ko, and I think I went back the next night and got Gulf Force Eternal Story, but I got Project A-ko and Alien 3. And then I went to Service Merchandise to buy a player, and they were all out of Pioneer players. And then I went to Filene's basement, or Filene's, the actual superstore, the Sears-like store, and bought my Sony player there. But yeah, Saturday Matinee was the place. And then later Suncoast came out and kind of, it didn't really replace it immediately, but it kind of usurped the throne of cool video store. But Saturday Matinee had a lot of Laserdiscs. I used to shop there a lot, for sure. Pete was asking where you can find my radio stuff. I'll put some links down here. I just did an appearance on my local NPR channel talking about Jordan Peele's Us, and I'll be back on there for the Game of Thrones finale shortly-ish too. So I'll post those links, and then I've got on WWUH out of Hartford on Sunday nights. I have a radio show at 8 o'clock every week. Though last week there was a shooting, not a shooting, there was a stabbing on the campus that the radio station's actually housed in, so I couldn't even access the station. And that turned into a bit of a cluster situation. Apparently, it was a drama student who was, I think, with maybe 2 or 3 other drama students, and I don't even think it was like an official assignment or something. It was something on their spare time. They were reenacting a portion of the Ashton Kutcher film, The Butterfly Effect, and there was a stabbing or something apparently within the scene, and then he decided to, some hot jams next door, he decided to murder his co-stars with, I don't even know if it was a knife or scissors, but he actually stabbed the hell out of them and then just like ran off into the woods. And so yeah, the cops, it was like Blues Brothers amounts of cops on the scene, and every single access point was blocked off and I couldn't get in. So that was the end of my show this past week. So but we actually streamed, there's the whole rights issues thing. I used to podcast the show before we, because there was a period we did it live, and then sometimes we would pre-record it. And if I pre-recorded it, I could actually strip out the music, because there's the whole music rights thing. As a radio station, we get to use backing music for everything that's in our library, but podcasting is a whole other thing. So, but we do have this agreement where we have a stream rewind connection. So we have, I think, about a month's worth a backlog of shows that you can stream, but there's the agreement is that they're not permanently posted, and that they get vaporized after 4 weeks. So you can always check out the last 4 weeks of those shows. And I used to do video news on the big CBS radio local show, but my buddy who worked there actually went and joined a country station, so I actually got to get in contact with him. We were supposed to do some work getting that fired up again too. So I'll post some links to all that stuff though, so you can check it out. Oh yeah, Melinda was asking how you're looking at the breakdown in LDDB. Yeah, it actually, there's so much stuff on the LDDB, the Laserdisc database, for those outside of the laser circles. There's so much stuff there that's kind of hard to find. And if you go to your collection, there's like a collection tab in the Laserdisc database. It automatically is, I think, defaulted to disc type or disc size or something like that. But there's like a little drop-down window where you can select how you want to view your collection. So it's like by disc type, and then you could do it by genre and by year, I think, something like that. But there's like a good 10 or so different filters you can reselect how it breaks down your collection. They don't always advertise that stuff extremely well. It's not always intuitive, so you got to go do a bit of digging. But Strictly Sega's got Matinee with John Goodman. I love that flick. It's a good throwback homage to the gimmicky, like Castle films, etc. And then also a big love letter to the Atomic Age horror films and sci-fi films. And charisma. Yeah, you've got charisma. Give me a donut to go. But yeah, it's a really cool film. Yeah, a real love letter to 50s sci-fi and just the atomic fear and how that kind of connected with the horror films. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's got the Laserdisc, I think, has the kind of movie within a movie, Mant, on there as well. So definitely recommend it on Laserdisc. Let's see what else we got going on. Talking about the TV chronological cut of Godfather. Yeah, that box is cool. There's a Japanese box too, but that one I think only is the recut of 1 and 2, but this one's got 1, 2, and 3. It would be cool to have on 4K, but I kind of like just having it on Laserdisc too. So maybe someday, we'll see. Yes, I am still thinking about doing some room tour videos and regular Blu-ray and LD videos, and another week in the life. Yeah, all that stuff is definitely on tap. I need to get ramped up on some more LD reviews, because there's a ton of reviews that I have done that are in the can that need to be posted and all that stuff. But yeah, my room's been redesigned drastically, upstairs and downstairs actually, so I'll definitely do it. And I want to do some more gear update videos too, because I bought a lot more gear, as I was talking last week. that I got to talk about. Um, and then yeah, no problem, Melinda. Enjoy the LDDB and its treasures that it can give you. What do I think of Dragon Ball Z, and which dub or music score do you prefer? Dragon Ball Z was I don't know, maybe it's just my age or something like that, but it just kind of did a flyby at me, and I never really connected with it, which was maybe like I was just on the cusp. Yeah, like Barney Stinson would call the Ewok line for Star Wars fans. Yeah, I was on that, like, whatever equivalent anime style. So, Freddie was saying he enjoyed the Weekend Life as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was fun. I actually wouldn't mind doing more where I could actually just drop the camera and instead of doing as much like POV stuff, do a mix of that and just film myself doing mundane things as well, so I could use some of that footage. Definitely like to do that again. But yeah, so I feel bad I haven't really watched any of the Dragon Ball stuff. But yeah, a lot of my friends absolutely love it, and they went to go see the film that was in theaters recently and like freaked out over it. So yeah, I'm out of the loop. Have I seen the Suspiria remake? Was it any good? I did indeed. I was lucky enough to catch it in theaters, and I do have it on Blu-ray. It is good, and at the same hand, I do have some qualms about it. I have a video maybe a couple months back. Yeah, actually, it was the day I saw it in the theater, so it's definitely a couple months back. There's a film review that I put up. I'll try and drop the link there too, in case you can't find it, where I talk about it. But the basic thoughts were it's gorgeous. The characters are great. The acting is great, and I really enjoyed the kind of reimagining of the finale and its mythology. Some of the kind of tropes were a little heavy-handed. It seemed like it was really going for the connections with 1977 German history, and the kind of, it's almost like a cinematic cliche of Berlin at the time being just horrendously dismal and always rainy, and so I don't know, some of that stuff I left me a little cold, where I felt like it was just reusing cinematic tropes instead of forging its own path and really kind of delivering something original. But then when it got to the juice of the dance academy and the power struggles within, that stuff was really, really cool. And there were some really harrowing moments in there. So I'm definitely a fence sitter on it, but I mean, not so much that I didn't want to own it, because it is that gorgeous, and I love Tom York's score. I know it's a completely thankless job to be doing a new score when the Goblin score for the original is so iconic. So actually, I really like his score. I like the songs on there, and I'm a big Radiohead and Tom York fan anyway, so he could be singing the phone book and I'd probably enjoy it. But yeah, it wasn't as killer as it, like, there's been a lot of great horror films lately that have the kind of A24 vibe, like everything in the wake of the witch. Like, I remember seeing, or the Vivitch, as me and Moiki like to call it. I remember seeing the trailer for that, and like it really kind of expressed the kind of its DNA through the trailer, and I was getting that same vibe from Suspiria, and the film proper maybe didn't fire on all the cylinders that I was expecting from the trailer. Like, the trailer was like a 10 out of 10, and the movie was like a 8 or 7.5 out of 10. Whereas The Witch, love that thing, and I really loved Hereditary as well. And last year, Mandy was the one that even above Hereditary, Mandy was the one that connected with me. So those two films, I really loved, and the Suspiria was like a distant third, but it still has enough of some amazing moments. Let's see what's going on. Submarine was saying, I saw a video where he mentioned Titanic was underrated. Feels it gets too much hate. Yeah, I mean, also another Titanic historian. Yeah, that's the thing. If you were interested in the history of the Titanic, and I was fascinated with it from being a kid. I remember when Raise the Titanic was a thing and became a movie. I was like really interested in it for some reason when that came out, and then when Ballard started doing the stuff, and there was National Geographic specials and stuff. I still have all my old National Geographics. Something about it just kind of connected with me, and I was just fascinated by it from that point on. So Cameron's film was, regardless of the Romeo and Juliet-esque kind of class romance stuff, was always going to be an interesting film for me from a historical aspect, and just having Kent Marshall involved, and just people that were really excited about recreating as much as they could, or as much as they knew at the time, accurate historical depiction of the events, and then kind of layered this Romeo and Juliet story over that. And I like how Cameron obviously embraced the kind of treacly nature of it, and the kind of cheesy nature of it, and he says it up front, right in the pictorial script book that he had. He says he knows it's on the verge of corny, but that was kind of the vibe he felt that the characters needed to work on, and obviously it freaking worked. Yeah. I mean, I saw that movie probably six, 7 times in the theaters, maybe even 8. And of course it played forever. But I saw it in 70 millimeter and DTS. Oh, killer. But yeah, I love it. I'm a Titanic apologist. I bought the Laserdisc right away, and I got I never did get the Blu-ray, but I got that kind of like blue box DVD set that came up. He was saying, "Surprised you're not more famous." I often quote, "What do you say, killer stuff?" I know. I'm sorry. I need to get some more bone mows going on there. Some cool. I know my mom always says she says whatever random goofy phrase I happen to be saying all the time. So I have a whole handful of them, and they kind of seem to rotate on a fairly regular basis. So we'll see. We'll see what the next random goofy phrase I have is. MGM, they still exist in name, but is on thin ice, and occasionally makes new video masters or has their hands on a race. Yeah, I know, kind of a sad state of affairs. Freddie was asking which dub I like better for Akira, the original or the new one. Yeah, I think I'm kind of with the guys in Maison Otaku, or I think they're the ones that are more into the streamlined media one. I actually just prefer to watch it in Japanese, but when I was watching it on VHS with friends back in the day, it was usually the streamlined media dub. So I dug that, and then I got the new one when Pioneer came out with that. I think I sold my Pioneer Steelbook DVD, which is probably stupid, but they finally had a new dub. And I listened to it once, and it was okay, and it was trying to right a lot of the wrongs of the streamlined one, but there was. I think it's just the nostalgia of having experienced the. I think I have it on VHS still. I think I have a copy of the old streamlined one, but it's just how I heard it in English for the first time, so it just kind of stuck. But I think for accuracy's sake, that's not probably the go-to version. Pardon me. Hopefully, I didn't blow anybody's ears off. Oh, so some people are talking about the Busby Berkeley disc. I think I still have that, or did I sell that? I know I had that. It's like a gatefold 2-disc. Pete talking about James Cameron's movie. Where'd that go? I missed it. I needed to scroll to the right location. I just got an info dump here. James Cameron's Titanic was on a movie all the time in terms of award and box office. Now it's love it or hate it. Yeah, there was definitely a reflexive reaction from kind of tough guys when it came out. That movie's stupid. Yeah, and only girls want to see it because of Leo and all that stuff. So, and then I knew a lot of diehard Titanic historians that were just going to see it from the historical aspect. But yeah, I mean, it obviously crushed it, but it's funny. I still remember distinctly the period leading up to the release of Titanic, when the kind of film media was treating it like the new Waterworld, and it was going to be the biggest disaster in film history. You know, it was going to be the equivalent of the seafaring disaster that the Titanic was in film world, in the film world. But and James Cameron was like deferring his payment and everything like that. I think he was only getting like back end money out of it. He was like, look, I believe in it, so I'm gonna put my money back into it. And nobody thought it was gonna pay off. It was like, this thing's just gonna, this creaky hokey movie is not gonna work. And then yeah, it turned into this big thing. But yeah, so I know some people definitely will hate it just because, yeah, it's got too much of the treacly romance stuff in it. But yeah, I'm a sucker for the score. I'm a sucker for, you know, yeah, I'm a big James Cameron fan. Anyways, Avatar was a bit of a disappointment, but I'll still watch it on a fairly regular basis. And I'm still kind of skeptical about what he's going to do for the sequels, but whatever. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Titanic is a film that, yeah, really kind of kicked my ass back in the day and still kicks my ass. And I love the sound design alone. I could just listen to that damn sound design. What's going on? Some MGM talk. Ooh, Pete was saying Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan. Love both flicks. You know, it's funny. I was a little hard on Saving Private Ryan when it came out because, yeah, I was younger, and mostly because I was, you know, cynical. I was like, I was like, he might as well have just called it Oscar bait, you know, or something like that. I had some sort of like, you know, cool catchphrase I came up with. And I didn't love it at the time as much as I thought I was going to. But then I watched it countless times on home video, and I've enjoyed it, you know, more since then. I think, you know, overall, I probably enjoy Band of Brothers even more than like Saving Private Ryan itself properly. But it really has a lot going for it. Schindler's List is, yeah, one of those ones. I think there's a little bit less rewatch value just because of the toughness of the content. But I think, yeah, Schindler's List is probably the stronger film of the two. But Saving Private Ryan is the one I watch the most. I still need the Laserdisc, though. I bought the DTS DVD, but I never did get around to getting the Laserdisc. Let's see what else we got going on here. Jonathan was saying he was going to watch Suspiria on Amazon streaming. Yeah, you know damn well that'll be on Prime. Because it's one of those... Yeah, The Witch was totally amazing. Oh, I just saw Robert Eggers was making as his follow-up to that, but now I can't remember what it was. But yeah, the amount of like new filmmakers that are coming out with really exciting, like thick with character like horror films, like The Witch and Hereditary, etc. I'm really excited for Midsummer. That looks really cool. I'm hoping it, like the kind of cultish aspect of it, I'm hoping it's great and not a disappointment like Ty West's The Sacrament, because I really like Ty West stuff. Like The Innkeepers I really liked, House of the Devil, and then Sacrament was like a bit of a disappointment for me. So I'm hoping Midsummer like really kind of, it looks like it's got a bit of The Wicker Man going on and some other things. So I've got high hopes for that one. Let's see. Yeah, Spencer was saying he's not a Private Ryan person. Guns in the Navarone and Where Eagles Dare. Yeah, it's classic stuff. Which do I prefer, La Femme Nikita or Point of No Return? Definitely the Luc Besson. Though I do own Point of No Return as well. So that's a second, but yeah, man, the original. Gotta go original. I've got them both on Laserdisc, but I've got Nikita on Blu-ray as well too, which looks pretty good. Oh yeah, we were talking about the Blu-ray of X-Men last week because I picked up all those cheap copies from Big Lots of the 2-disc, and I sat down and watched X-Men again. It was funny after watching the Ben Affleck Daredevil again recently, and like realizing, oh yeah, that kind of has grown pretty creaky, even though some people said it was creaky when it was released. But X-Men on the flip side really held up for me, and it did look great on Blu-ray. A lot of the kind of the weird clunkier visual effects actually even played better for me than they did on home video before. So yeah, I was actually enjoying the hell out of that. I thought the sound design was great too, and sounded great, and yeah, it looked killer. So I'm glad I actually picked that up on Blu-ray and kicked my old DVD copy to the curb. Oh yeah, Jonathan McKnight mentioned Annihilation. Yeah, I love Annihilation. Uh, I've seen that a lot since I picked it up on 4K, and that's one of those ones I like to show to new people that aren't quite aware of it and watch their minds melt. Really good film. It's got that like Lovecraftian edge to it, and then just that mood, that vibe. You really feel like your mind is dissipating as you're watching the film. I was pretty much ready to turn into a tree person by the end of it. Uh, let's see what's going on. Yeah, Luc Besson movies. I am a total Luc Besson apologist. I was just thinking recently too, like one of the because Daisuke Beppu on his channel was doing a video about habits, how you watch your movies, and I was thinking about how some of my favorite movie moments for home video were just being up late and watching Blu-rays and DVDs, usually like Kurosawa films or something. And I remember watching Luc Besson's Le Dernier Combat and on DVD, but just how it felt so much like I was Martin Scorsese running a screening of film in my house, and it was just one of my favorite moments of rediscovering this old film that it somehow escaped me, much like we were talking about Possession earlier. This still escaped me, but I was so excited that I found Le Dernier Combat in a Christmas tree shop's feeding trough of DVDs, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I've been dying to see this movie for ages, and I picked that up, and I missed Subway for the longest time too, until Vincent, who I will forgive for hating Logan's Run, sold me a copy of Subway, and I really loved that. Obviously, Nikita, Leon, Fifth Element, and I'm also an apologist for all the ones he writes, because he writes these super simple, like 80-minute action movies, and lets like guys like Olivier Megaton and like what. It's like a whole bunch of those guys, Gerard Kravchik and stuff. So I love all the taxi movies and Yamakasi and Wasabi, and then like the American ones like the Transporter flicks and all that stuff. Just like I'm a sucker for the Luc Besson stuff. And Valerian, I was maybe a little bit disappointed with theatrically, but I'm enjoying that more and more every time I watch it now. So and Lucy was a bit of a trip too. So yeah, Luc Besson, he's the man. And I was just thinking, I haven't seen the Messenger, the Joan of Arc film. I haven't seen that in a while, and that was one of the ones that maybe didn't connect as much with me. Just kind of felt like a late Braveheart knockoff. But I think I want to kind of sit down and watch that again. It's been a long time. What else we got going on here? Did I check out? Where'd that go? Damn it. Oh, Eggers doing Nosferatu. Yeah, maybe that was the one I was thinking about. I'm down with that. There was something else he was attached to for a while, but I guess that didn't come out. Cameron titles are LD essentials. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Aliens box set, gotta have it. True Lies, gotta have it. I was bummed that there wasn't like a True Lies box set or a Titanic box set either. I thought for sure they were going to release a Laserdisc Titanic box set, but did not happen. Oh, wait. I think I got back to where I was leaving off. Did I check out The House That Jack Built? Not exactly a family movie. No, I have not yet. I have not. I'm going to... I heard Orion Pictures back. Nice. Miss Orion Pictures. I will definitely check out The House That Jack Built, though. Let's see. Force 10 from Navarone. Nice. I know Sam Jackson would appreciate that. You like that? Ghost of the Abyss. I saw that in... I've got it on DVD, but I saw that in theaters in 3D as well. And that was really fun. I like that a lot. Pete was saying he likes my Jurassic Park quote. That DTS is redonkulous. I don't even know what I'm saying when I say this stuff, but then the people say it back to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I did say that. I don't have the Criterion Silence of the Lambs Blu-ray. I've actually been simmering on Criterion because I know that July Barnes and Noble sale's coming up, so I'm gonna hit it hard. Yeah, I will definitely. I would definitely be grabbing that. And then a bunch of Cronenberg and Lynch stuff is also on my hit list, for sure. And yeah, I don't have Night to Remember Criterion either. Spencer was saying he hated Titanic competing against Tomorrow Never Dies. And yeah, the Bond competition. Austin was saying the dudes who acted tough when Titanic came out were the same ones crying like a bitch in the theater. Yeah, that whole, I hate Titanic. Jack. All right, Spencer's gonna rewatch Titanic. Good, we broke him. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy it more than Vincent enjoyed Logan's Run. Strictly Sega was saying the second half of Private Ryan is a bit boring. It is tough after the Sturm und Drang of the opening. It just knocks you into submission, and then it becomes a quieter or more character driven piece after that, which I've actually enjoyed that segment of the film more upon reviewing. But it's definitely a different dynamic storytelling wise. So I can see, like, after getting pummeled, especially sonically, for the first half, and then the second half you're just kind of like, all right, snooze. We get some SPR. Oh, sorry, do the styles and reference picture quality. Yeah, it's definitely got that heightened style. Like, as much as I like to have, like, David O. Russell's Three Kings on Laserdisc too, that probably also would not be reference quality because of the aggressive kind of visual tweaks they did there. Titanic got tealed. Yeah, man. Cameron's all about making that teal action. I don't know why he's obsessed with teal, but gotta change it. You love Mortal Kombat and that? No, I was talking about Annihilation, not Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Though I did enjoy the Mortal Kombat films. I saw the first one in the theaters on like a Sunday morning. It's nice and cheap. Talking about it. Oh man, Sopranos. I got to rewatch The Sopranos again too. Yeah, Cameron likes teal and he hates grain. Well, I mean, even back as far as the LD days, there was that whole story that Gary Reber from Widescreen Review talked about how Cameron was obsessed with. I started reading Pete talking about Annihilation again. He would bring a portable consumer TV with him to the studio to see how it would look essentially for end users. So it's kind of a cool, interesting concept. But when he was doing the Aliens box set, the word was that he kept telling them to sharpen it up and then soften it and then sharpen it up and then soften it, so that by the time the box set came out, it had been sharpened and softened and sharpened and softened and sharpened and softened like 4 or 5 different times. And so it kind of created this weird stew of very unstable picture quality. So yeah, he has those weird kind of tendencies. But yeah, whatever. And yeah, so they're gonna mess with the abyss. Pete was saying Fifth Element looks fantastic on 4K. Nice. I still haven't even picked that up on Blu-ray. I just have the Superbit DVD. I think that's the newest thing for that. And then, of course, the Laserdisc. What else we got going on here? Boo! Comments are jumping around like mad. Yeah, it's 11:29. I should probably go to bed at some point, huh? I know, right? Titanic should have had a box set on LD. Let's see what else is going on. Did I have any other hot topics I was supposed to talk about tonight? Yes, Sopranos 20-year anniversary. It's one of those things that just always feels new to me. I can't believe it's that old. I used to have Sopranos Sunday with my mom. It's funny, we bought I didn't see it when it first aired, season 1, so we bought season 1 on DVD from my dad, and then I think my dad maybe watched it on A&E, the cut versions, like, 10 years later. So it ended up being me and my mom watching it. Every Sunday we'd just binge watch Sopranos, so it was always Sopranos Sunday. So we watch the hell out of that show. And I was just thinking, now that I've got it on Prime, I can just watch it whenever. And every once in a while I'll just like pop on the first couple episodes. But I need to really show it to my wife. I think she'd dig it. Pete was saying, heard the Criterion LD of Dracula is highly regarded, but the 4K's framing be more accurate than the Criterion. And yeah, I haven't seen the 4K. The newest one I have of that is the Supreme Cinema version, which I hear the framing of that is slightly shifted from the earlier Blu-ray edition. And it's weird. I have the Criterion LD of Dracula, and I always forget which one's which. I think that's the one that was supervised by Roman Coppola, and then the Columbia Special Edition was supervised by Michael Ballhaus, and they're both gorgeous, but like slightly different. So it's like there's that one I don't feel that one is superior, like ultimately superior to the other. I mean, maybe the Criterion one, if I had to choose one to take to a desert island with me. But yeah, it is great. The special features on the Criterion LD is good. The only thing I don't like is that it's got that triple gatefold, trifold that tends to get jacked up in the corners really easily, and it's hard to find a nice kind of minty copy of it. But yeah, it had that thing where you could edit the film by choosing with your remote control, like to piece together like different takes of. I think it's the scene with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder talking about him going on his mission and all that stuff. Really kind of, cutting edge stuff at the time, which isn't, so much now, but it's pretty fascinating how they were pushing the special features so hard at that period. So yeah, LD of Dracula's definitely a milestone. SM Marine's doing the Game of Thrones watcher. I really should do season 1 from scratch again, but it is down to the wire. So I probably won't get through it in time. Yeah. Oh well. Because it's not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So Spencer was saying the 4K Dracula's frame shifted too. So oh well. Yeah, the Criterion was supervised by Roman, but I also can never get rid of the Columbia Laserdisc because of the longer documentary on there, which I fell in love with that documentary. Man, back in the day, Gary Oldman was just the coolest guy, and just seeing him talking about how he looks at pictures of his kids to get into the mood, he was just so intense back then. It's crazy. I just watched that and I just totally bought into the whole mystique of it. Did I actually get caught up? I did get caught up. Excellent. Was there anything else that I missed that somebody wanted to yap about from last week? But I think we actually did cover everything, so I'll probably wrap up soon. As always, it's cool hanging out with you guys. Sadly, Peter didn't show up, so I'll say hello to him because he'll probably listen tomorrow. I think I lost Vincent, but probably because I talked trash about him for not liking Logan's Run. Oh, SM Marine's on season 3 of Game of Thrones. Yeah, man, you got a little bit to go. Yeah, it's going to be tough to see it go off the air. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it's all going to play out for sure. Great show, and yeah. Awesome stuff. But it's going to be weird to think about. Yeah, it's like when Lord of the Rings ended, and I was like, oh, there's going to be a Silmarillion movie next year, probably. In my head, I'm always, I'll be expecting another Game of Thrones season, but some spin-off stuff would definitely be welcome. Spencer's not a fan of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Come on. All right, we already bothered you into watching Titanic again, so we can't harp on you for not liking Dracula. Austin was saying he read the RoboCop novelization. Oh wow, should have filmed the opening with Alfred fragrancing. It's intense. I loved what was it, the Thing Blu-ray that had the interview with Alan Dean Foster talking about novelizations, and it's such an interesting art form, and kind of like a lost one. But especially back in the day, all those cool novelizations from the '80s, and they'd always have a version of the script to work from that wasn't the the edited film. So there'd always be all these scenes from the script that would wind up in the novelization, and then of course fleshed out from the author. It's good stuff. Thanks, Freddie. Good seeing you too. I'll definitely have to get in touch with you sometime, and we'll chat, catch up. Spencer was saying, oh yeah, love some vintage Universal Dracula. Yeah, I love the Spanish Dracula. I love the Lugosi Dracula. But also Spencer's Italian novelization geek. Yeah, so much cool stuff. I remember I had the Poltergeist one I read, and I love that. And there was a ton of like classic '80s novelizations. I know back then it was just like you had to get the novelization. I think I had the Halloween 2 one, big pile of them. I think the newest one I bought was when was it Max Allan Collins, who created Road to Perdition, actually did the novelization of the film adaptation of Road to Perdition, and I was like, that's a trip. That's like some sort of weird backwards, like inside out situation. So I had to pick that up. Pete was saying not digging Walking Dead lately. Yeah, I actually have the last season on Blu-ray on Walking Dead, but I haven't caught up with that yet, so I got to check it out. And I'm actually way behind on the comics too, so I need to catch up on all that stuff. And I'm watching season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, which has been pretty interesting so far. Austin was saying, Predator novelization based on the early script where Van Damme was playing the Predator, and it still looked like a duck. Yeah, it was cool hearing Alan Dean Foster talking about how thankless kind of a job it was, and how you had to fill in some of the gaps yourself, and kind of really expand on what you thought it meant from what little they had given you, and or from the script itself. And yeah, it was a really cool, like, it was before I was collecting scripts, so it was a really cool way to find out about all the extra scenes. I remember reading the Star Trek 2 novelization, so I had to, all the scenes that ended up being in the director's cut, but they were in the novelization as well. And I'm like, oh, cool. And Spencer's favorite is Batman Forever, due to it being awesome. Revenge of the Sith is another amazing one that's better than the film. I actually bought the novelization of Return of the Jedi, and because it dropped like about a week or so before, like, I went to, what store was that? There was a store, it wasn't like a Caldor or something like that, but it was a store that had a display up front with all the books, because they had like the design book, the art book, and all that stuff, and they had the illustrated novel, and I bought the illustrated novel, and it was like a week or something before the film came out, and I couldn't I read that thing in like one sitting, and so by the time I saw the film, I had already knew what was going to happen. But and that had like some of the stuff, Luke in the cave in the beginning, and the stuff with the sandstorm and all that. So I remember being like, this is amazing. SM Marine picked up small out of LD's, got Forrest Gump. Pan and Scan. Damn. Managed to find the widescreen sealed for $3.50. Man, Pan and Scan Forrest Gump. Screw that. Pete was saying the mindset of James Cameron Spielberg Blu-ray should never be 100% accurate to the theatrical market. Never. Must change something. It's too bad too, because I love James Cameron and what he did for LD in particular. But his whole thing is film isn't video, video isn't film, or whatever. So he's definitely not averse to tweaking. Yeah, Revenge of the Jedi was a cooler title. Lucas is a wimp. I remember going to was it a creation convention? Might have been like Kineticon or something. But we used to have small comic conventions and stuff in the area, but then a couple times a year this one company would have a bigger one that would be at a local hall, or we're at a hotel or something like that, and one of the ones, the big kind of downtown ones, was before Return of the Jedi came out. So they actually, a lot of the vendors had the Revenge stuff, and I almost bought. It was right around the time when all that was kind of coming to a head. So I remember seeing the one sheets, for Revenge of the Jedi, and thinking I should get one of those, but they're kind of expensive. But I really should have gotten one. But instead, I think I bought I bought like a con kind of broken Federation necklace, and but I did buy a Revenge of the Jedi T-shirt. But considering I was, tiny at the time, it's a smaller medium, and it like child's T-shirt, and it never fit me beyond like the 5th grade or something. So yeah, I really regret. I still have it somewhere folded up somewhere, but I still have my Revenge of the Jedi T-shirt. So I invested in that, but I still wish I had gotten that stinking poster. It is a cool title. Yes, the AC3LD of Forrest Gump has no surround activity. It's so weird, and it was like by design too. Yeah, Zemeckis was purposefully trying to. He wanted everything to be dominated on the front and everything be front heavy, and then didn't want the distraction of surround sound. Kind of what a wasted chance, because the Vietnam scenes and everything like that in there, and so weird. There's like pretty much no surround activity at all. I had the Return of the Jedi script too. But it was interesting too. The script copy I had the multiple endings where they could go with Lando dying or not. So pretty interesting stuff. There's still a lot of darkness in Return of the Jedi too that kind of gets glossed over by people focusing on the Ewoks, but there's some dark stuff in there. What else is again? Also film novels. I used to get back in the 70s and 80s the picture books, but with the like the comic style. Thought balloons and quotes and everything like that. Like the film, what the hell do they call them? Like film novellas or something like that. But yeah, those things were cool as hell. Like the picture books. Loves the alternate tone of the Star Wars trilogy novelizations. Yeah, I picked up all the original Star Wars ones, and then of course Splinter of the Mind's Eye. I was a big fan of Splinter of the Mind's Eye. I remember my dad was like so excited for that to be the next Star Wars movie that he was at first almost a little disappointed that Empire Strikes Back was its own thing. Yeah, Revenge of the Jedi poster. Luke still has a blue lightsaber. Yeah, I wish they'd kept Revenge of the Jedi. That was cool. I just read the William Gibson Alien 3 comic miniseries. I reread that script right when I heard they were launching that. So they used the second draft that hasn't been read that much. Cool. I definitely want to check that out. Because the draft I have was okay. It was interesting. It wasn't killer, but it was like one of those things where you could tell he punched it out, but it still could use some work. Why couldn't Robert Zemeckis stick with PCM only on the LD or Force Gump? Yeah, this is one of those weird anomalies. So it dropped like around the origins of AC3 on LD, so it was one of those things where it's like, well, it's the hot new movie, so we got to have this AC3 track on there. I don't think a lot of people even realize that there wasn't discrete surround sound on it. But yeah, it was that thing. So it's got to be 5.1, even if there's no surround activity. But still a cool lasers to get, for sure. That was a film that is funny. I saw it in the theaters and kicked my ass. And then there was a couple elements. There was like the one moment that like kind of went too far for me was the smiley face T-shirt. I was like, all right, that's kind of hokey, but everything else I was on board with. And then I remember I was gushing about it. My parents went to go see it, and they're like, yeah, that was crap. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I remember I got it on Laserdisc and I showed it to my roommate, and she was just like completely destroyed by it. I was like, that was the most amazing thing I saw ever. So yeah, might not stand up over time, but at the time, man, that really 94 was a killer year for movies. No Escape, freaking The Crow, The Shadow, Speed, everybody's Laserdisc favorite. True Lies. So much good stuff coming out that year. Amadeus needs a 4K or 6K restoration. Yeah, I have not gotten even Amadeus on Laserdisc. I need to get that special edition at some point. But anyways, yeah, should probably wrap this sucker up. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. And Austin said the Hellraiser Scarlet box used the PCM audio on the second track, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it's actually been so long since I tripped through the Scarlet box that I can't remember which track I rocked on that. I do remember I enjoyed the audio of Hellraiser in particular. But yeah, the Amadeus box set, I gotta get it because it looks like a beast. No Escape is underrated. Oh, there's an import-free region Blu-ray. Nice, because the DVD snapper case I have sucks. It's pretty much just the Laserdisc, so I got it as an upgrade. But yeah, I saw that in the theater like 2 or 3 times. Crazy, right? I think I was the only one. Good night, Psycholavos. Good night, Freddie. Good night, everybody, and cheers. Hope you guys have a killer weekend. And yeah, maybe I'll buy a Laserdisc or 2 just so I can have some sort of Laserdisc stuff going on next week. But yeah, cheers. Hope you guys have a kick-ass finale to the week and Good Friday. And I'll check you guys on the flip side. Peace.